Condition orange. Condition orange. Situation delta in effect. Please enter your agent number now, followed by the hash key.
We have to create culture. Don't watch TV. Don't read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR.
Time comes when silence is betrayal.
More for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them.
Think for yourself. Question authority.
This code has been compromised.
All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is Wednesday, March 9th, 2022. This is Truth Frequency Radio. Again, every Wednesday night, I got a 3-hour time slot right here on Gematria Effect News. If you guys haven't been here for the whole time, I used to just always call my channel Zachary K. Hubbard until it got deleted for the 16th time, and then I just changed it to Gematria Effect News to see if that would help things out. And again, that was the name that Chris Geo gave the program back when it started in 2016. And it's come a long ways since then. The research
try and wake up the city of...
Whoa! Feedback. Why did that just happen? Why did that just happen? Oh, it's because I have that on. My fault. User error. Okay. But, yeah, there's so many things to talk about. In case you missed it, February 24th, the day military operations began in Ukraine, at least reportedly, at least as we see through the television. It's like 1984. Always at war, but are we really? Anyway, if you missed it, February 24th, the day the military confrontation began in Ukraine, the World Health Organization, they had the first of the meetings that they announced would happen on December 1st, 2021. And the World Health Organization is currently drafting up a procedure so that when the next pandemic comes, there'll be a way to get people vaccinated much, much faster. Apparently, Operation Warp Speed at its record blaze wasn't fast enough. But, again, they're saying that the shortcoming of coronavirus is it took too long to get to 70% of the world to the fully vaccinated status. So the World Health Organization drafting up a way for many nations to cooperate in the execution of the vaccine in the next pandemic. And again, the first meeting to begin drafting that document while Ukraine, Russia is breaking out. With regards to Ukraine, Russia, you might have missed that yesterday, March 8th, the CIA director, William Burns, came out and said over the next few weeks there's going to be a lot more deaths in Ukraine. And what a day for him to make this announcement from the 38th parallel in Washington, D.C., the nation's, of course, federal capital. But really, I mean, is it not the military killing capital of the world? He makes this announcement on March 8th, 3-8 from the 38th parallel. Of course, in Gematria, death, murder, killing, R.I.P., they all equal 38, as does energy. And of course, on this same day, Biden came out and said he's going to ban Russian oil. He'd been mulling it over for a couple weeks, ever since the whole thing kicked off, and energy shot up 3.8% worldwide, as they reported that day. But what's interesting, besides this announcement being made on March 8th, the date of death, that there's going to be a lot more death in the Ukraine from the CIA, which pretty much controls the 24/7, 365 propaganda, and steers your head in the direction they want to steer your head towards. You know, they didn't want you to focus on February 24th on what was going on at the World Health Organization. They didn't want you to think about that. Instead, they had a new fiasco for you. But And isn't it just a joke how it all is? You know, the Olympics just happened. Everyone's ending the mandates on COVID, and then, oh my God, we're on the verge of World War III. And to think it's the year of the tiger, and Vladimir Putin got a tiger for his 56th birthday of all years. And this comes right after Super Bowl 56, won by Sean McVay, whose fiancé is from Ukraine. And right after, of course, Alec Baldwin shoots the Ukrainian woman, Helena Hutchins, whose husband speaks out for the first time as Ukraine-Russia military conflict gets underway. But anyway, but besides the director just coming out on 3/8 about the coming deaths, he says this is going to happen over the next few weeks. Well, let's think about what infamous days come up in the next few weeks that are highly related to death. You know, one of them's the Brotherhood of Death out of Yale, more popularly known as Skull and Bones. Yale's Brotherhood of Death, again, George W. Bush and his father, both presidents, were members of it. But their day is March 22nd, 322. Skull and Bones identifies by 322. Every year there's a big old ritual on 322. Last year it was supposedly the King Super shooting, which there was a whole lot of evidence for. You might recall our live stream got pulled down in real time last year during TFR, covering that shooting. You know, the latest news. Can't remember if it happened like the day before the show, but we were covering the shooting. We showed the footage that was out there viral on the internet. Nothing graphic about it, but YouTube pulled the whole stream. That was last year on 322, and again, that was a Kroger store. And then 322 days later, we had the next Kroger mass shooting. That was here in Washington State in my backyard this year on February 7th, the 38th day of the year. Death 38. You know, again, the Brotherhood of Death 322. So he said the next few weeks, so if you take his word for it, from the 8th to 3 more weeks is the 29th, right? And, you know, even before March 22nd, we got the Ides of March, which is known for killing in the news as well. A few years back, it was the Ides of March. It was the mass shooting at the 2 mosques in Christchurch, of all places. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Sorry, I see a technical glitch on my end. My fault. Gonna have to figure out what to do about that. But yeah, we had the Christchurch, New Zealand mosque shootings, if you recall. The guy who streamed it to Facebook Live. And recently we had the Countdown supermarket shooting as retaliation, which came 129 weeks later in New Zealand, and Countdown equals 129. Which, of course, is 201 and base 8, but that's another topic. But, we have the Ides of March, and then even before that, March 12th, we have what they're calling the pinnacle date of the first ever Ignatian year. They're saying this is going to be the most important day in this first ever Ignatian year, which began May 20th of last year, 2021, the day in history Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, was shot with a cannonball. And it goes through July 31st of this year, so it actually runs more than a typical calendar year. And the reason it ends July 31st is that's the day in history Ignatius of Loyola died. But the reason they're saying March 12th will be the pinnacle date is because it'll be the 400-year anniversary of Ignatius of Loyola being made a saint. He was canonized on that day, March 12th, 1622. And what I want to show you is how the date March 12th lines up with the CIA director who makes this announcement 4 days before March 12th, when we know the number 4 is highly associated with death. Again, a lot of the Jesuit tradition and, you know, the occult teachings, a lot of it does come from the Far East. And remember, in the Far East, in Mandarin Chinese and in Japanese, you pronounce the number 4 the same way you pronounce death. So March 12th, very interesting date to see what they do with the Ukrainian headlines. You know, this is a nation of nearly 50 million people. The last I saw, they're saying around 500 civilians died. Nothing about this story makes any sense. I mean, today, all day, March 9th, they've been showing that supposedly a maternity ward and children's hospital was bombed, but they're saying there were 0 casualties. They have the mayor of the town on TV saying he feels blessed that there were 0 casualties in the bombing of this supposed hospital. I mean, from the images I've seen on TV, it looked like an abandoned building. Apparently, there used to be equipment in there. I guess the bomb just vaporized it all. But they're saying no one hurt. And what's amazing is on CNN, they have up headlines of proof of genocide in Ukraine as the headline on the bottom of the screen, while they show you the seemingly abandoned building with the mayor of the town saying he's grateful that, and he feels blessed that no one died in this attack, while CNN's caption at the bottom says proof of genocide. Apparently, and that's what Zelensky, the Hollywood actor who's now the president of Ukraine, had said. So, again, nothing's adding up in here. Russia's a military might. Ukraine isn't. That they're saying Ukraine has lost some troops. Russia's lost a whole lot more. I mean, just nothing about this makes any sense. Grammarly's even raising money. If you use the Grammarly software, if you're trying to make sure you have no errors in your document, you're going to pop up today that says, do you want to donate to Ukraine? The actress from Tiger Cruise, which begins on September 11th at Pearl Harbor, the Disney film, the actress from that, Hayden Panettiere, today, she launches a fundraiser for the people of Ukraine. Go figure, she does it on her 201st day of her age. And with regards to her being in the movie Tiger Cruise set in September 11th and it beginning in Pearl Harbor, again, Biden and Putin met about Ukraine on Pearl Harbor of all days. Again, the mockery. But here, let me show you what's so interesting about March 12th in light of this head of the CIA, William Burns. He comes out, by the way, he has the same birthday as NATO, April 4th, 4-4, military 44, execution 44, kill 44, the word genocide truly 44, as is hospital. Today they're saying the bombing of the hospital is proof of the genocide despite no one dying. But anyway, just for the record, a lot of what's going on in Ukraine has to do with NATO. But supposedly one of the main reasons is that Putin is worried that Ukraine's going to join NATO. So he does not want Ukraine to join NATO, so that's part of what this military intervention is. And again, this is all New World Order Jesuit shenanigans, but just to get caught up in the narrative for a moment, remember when Gaddafi was removed from power by being beaten to death, supposedly by a mob? It was pointed out that the soldiers were all dressed in NATO gear. And again, sometimes I don't know what to think with Gaddafi, because, you know, they made him look like he was the worst person ever, but statistically, things got better for the people in his country in a big way. And, yeah, he was removed by a violent mob despite being the kind of guy that could go openly in public and not have anything to worry about. Unlike here in the U.S., where presidents travel in 50-car motorcades where you can't even know which car they're in. You know what I mean? Need 50 bulletproof cars for the president to get around the states. Anyway, with regards to the Jesuits and the Catholics being behind all this, of course, the director of the CIA, which truly stands for Catholics in Action, he went to LaSalle, the Catholic school. He also went to St. John's College, part of Oxford, and its Catholic roots. But here's the big thing about March 12th. Again, this pinnacle date, the 400-year anniversary of Ignatius of Loyola becoming a saint. And as we know, the Catholic Church, they only make the greatest of people saints. Just like how here in the U.S., we only make the greatest of people president of the United States. But William Burns, from his birthday, which is April 4th, his last birthday, 2021, to March 12th will be his 359th day of his age. And again, this is a special number here with the Jesuits because it's the 72nd prime number. And in Gematria, Jesuit order equals 72, just like how they were established in history on a date with 72 numerology, like how their logo's the sun. It takes 72 years for the sun to move 1 degree on the astrological wheel. And just so many things with the Jesuits in 72. Joe Biden, Jesuit Joe, lost his wife and daughter back in 1972, right after becoming senator-elect. At age 72, he loses his son Beau Biden at age 46 before he becomes the 46th president-elect. 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. And just so many more things. President Biden equals 72, so does President Trump, who's also Jesuit educated. What the headlines are emphasizing about Mr. Burns' remarks is ugly next few weeks. The media's emphasized those words. Number of publications. Ugly next few weeks. That equals 72, again, just like Jesuit order. And, you know, the Ides of March, heavily associated with Rome and the killing of Caesar. Again, Skull and Bones, 322, they're modeled after the Knights Templar who served the Roman Catholic Church. And again, March 12th, clearly a Jesuit-associated date, the day Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, became the first saint. And the thing about it being the 359th day of his age, this pattern's shown up with the Jesuits in big ways in history. Case in point, when the Jesuits were reinstated by the Pope after their suppression, they were reinstated on the Pope's 359th day of his age, the 72nd prime number. So, again, by having this knowledge, you see, like, truly what a joke our federal government is. The fact that they come out and report and forecast what's next by the code of numerology. And why do they know exactly what's next? Well, because they're executing the plan. How much of it is theater? Hard to say. It seems like a lot of it from where I stand. But the point is, the stuff they do can have real consequences for people. And one of the things that the Jesuits have been busy simulating at the World Economic Forum run by the Jesuit Klaus Schwab is cyber polygon and all these cyber attacks. And right now that they're saying, you know, Russia supposedly is removing itself from the internet on March 11th, and they're going on to their own national network. We'll see if that's true. That's being speculated right now, even in things like Forbes. But they're saying that Russia's setting up for powerful cyber attacks against the world that could cripple the grid. Remember, 60 Minutes just covered this the Sunday before last, and then on the 60th day of the year, supposedly there was a mass shooting incident at Hanford site, which later they retracted, but on the 60th day of the year. And of course, Hanford site's where the first nuclear energy site was created in history. And by the way, today, March 9th, 1943, that was the day the Hanford site project began, 79 years ago today. Today's the 68th day of the year. Nuclear energy is 68, so is nuclear weapon, kind of like Hiroshima on August 6th or 6/8, kind of like Chernobyl in 86, kind of like the World Trade Centers where everything went into motion for 9/11/2001 in 68. Now they call the site Ground Zero, which is terminology from the Manhattan Project, the point above or below ground where a nuclear atomic bomb explodes. And with regards to the development of the atomic bomb, that has Gematria 39 like Hanford site, and today 39, the day the Hanford site development began. New York's also 39. It was part of the Manhattan Project where the World Trade Centers were. Again, you learn this knowledge, you look at history, you see through what's really going on. And that's why I wrote about yesterday to expect some news from Chernobyl today. Today they're saying Chernobyl was disconnected from the power grid, and that has people speculating that it could lead to some kind of problem at the plant, possibly a radiation leak. But just realize all of this information and fear and story is being contrived by a very repetitive code, a code that pays tribute to history. And with regards to the Chernobyl scare today, on the 79-year anniversary of the start of the Hanford site, Ukraine equals 79. Again, New World Order. This nation hasn't been sovereign. All of you guys caught up in your his story books and your tell-a-visions, you better just start thinking using that mind's eye if it's not totally calcified. Do you really think this nation was ever free? Do you ever think it was really independent? You know? Do you really think it was just 56 signers on the Declaration of of Independence arbitrarily, with the most famous John Hancock dying at 56 as they code 56 on every last ritual as they form their New World Order today? Kyiv, Ukraine, 56. Russia in the capital, Kyiv, on the 56th day of the year. You know what I mean? Right after Super Bowl 56 with the winning coach with the model fiancé from Ukraine. And then the headlines are brought back up that Putin got a tiger when he was 56 years old for his birthday. And again, here we are in the year of the tiger. Again, you guys, we're living planned rituals. That was 13 years ago, Putin got a tiger. Now we got the 13 stripes, the 13 colonies, the 13 years of slave school where we learned Russia bad, USA good. I mean, that was the lesson we learned every year growing up. I'm pretty sure they've still been teaching that lesson in school, maybe not as much, but in the generations before me got it even more, and the generation before that even more. I mean, these are ongoing, long-winded narratives. Russia, the U.S., World War. Should say the Soviet Union, what it was for so long. And again, the Soviet Union folded on Christmas Day of all days, and you don't think the Jesuits and Society of Jesus are on it, the sun-worshipping cult where every solar deity's birthday has been that same day, 12/25? Again, all these rituals are in relation to the sun. And with regards to that, I should point out this same CIA director. Again, Gematria is forwards and backwards. In reverse, Jesuit order is 72. Forwards, it's 54, like William Burns, like John Carroll, who established the first Jesuit university when he was 54 years old. The word sun is also 54. The Jesuit logo's the sun, you know? But with regards to what else is in the story, the headlines that didn't emphasize ugly next few weeks, the other phrase from his testimony on March 8th was double down. He said, Putin will likely double down in the coming weeks with his, military onslaught. And the emphasis on double down's curious because it has Gematria 47 like Ukraine. And remember, the CIA was established in 47, and words like government, authority, Republican, Democrat, president, White House, they all equal 47. Biden was the 47th vice president who took office with the 47-year-old Obama. When Trump won the election, he was in the 47-story Midtown Hilton Hotel. Trump equals 47. The Simpsons have the cartoon about Ivanka Trump running for president in 2028, the year she turns 47. Very special number in DC is 47. Very special number with government and authority worldwide is 47. And as we talked about, the Ukraine situation jumped off exactly 47 weeks after Klaus Schwab's birthday, the Jesuit at the World Economic Forum, from Germany, like the Nazis. Isn't it funny all the things we've done in the name of science over the years? At the end of World War II, in the name of science, we brought over all the Nazi scientists who were responsible for all the crazy research. You know what I mean? Some of it was truly evil. And this is all part of the narrative, too. Essentially, the Nazis were Jesuits. But, 47, what do you know? And, there's even more things that are worth saying. This current CIA director is born in 56, if you can believe it. His birthday is April 4th, 56. And April 4th is NATO's birthday. The North Atlantic whatever military organization. And again, 4-4 establishment. Military's 44. When I think of April 4th, I often think of the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. on the 95th day of 68, because it was leap year. Like Martin Luther wrote the 95 Theses that gave birth to the Jesuits and the Counter-Reformation. And I also think of April 4th, 73, when the World Trade Centers opened, that were used as a big ritual to start 20 years worth of war that are just winding down. Just as another war jumps off that the U.S. is involved in. You guys see the latest? The U.S. denied that they had bioweapons labs in Ukraine, but now with some more research, they had to say, well, we have bio labs that we partnered with in Ukraine after the Soviet Union dissolved as a way to manage, essentially they're saying like to keep from these evil things the Soviets had in there from getting out, and just like, okay, whatever. So for all these years, you guys have been managing those things. You think if the threat was they would just destroy it all, right? Find the way to destroy it instead of continue to manage it. But again, you guys, it's the New World Order. It's the New World Order. And again, we know how the New World Order operates. They are the Cabal. They operate in Kabbalah, where this old code of letters and numbers comes from. And again, you learn this simple code, you see right through all the stuff they're doing. And here, breaking headline as I get on the show tonight. Black History Month's over, but the ritual killing of black men is not. And for a familiar pattern, the NFL's first black referee is dead at the age of 74, and he's died today, March 9th. And, I've written about this in 2 books. The significance of 39 and 93 in the killing of black men. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X both killed at age 39. Both of their names in Gematria equal 93. They only met one time in history, March 26, 64, a date with 93 numerology. So this man, Johnny Greer, dead at 74. Consider the Old Testament is 39 books. The oldest person in the Old Testament, Methuselah's black. Consider that he's dead at 74. Jewish, killing, occult, Masonic, they all equal 74. So does Jesus, cross, Messiah, gospel, parables. Most people, when they think of Jesus, they think about his murder by the Romans. Romans, another 74. All roads lead to Rome. Of course, there they even go further back. Greece, Egypt, Babylon. But the other thing I noticed about the first black NFL referee, Johnny Greer, born April 16th, 47, dead at 74, but April 16th, the 106th day of the year. Black Lives Matter equals 106. Use the numerology, without the numerology, black is 106. Remember Obama's book, A Promised Land, came out 106 days after his birthday on the day, leaving 44 days left in the year, number 44. Abraham, 44. You know, Abraham, A Promised Land, biblical riddles. And, of course, after the Abrahamic religion scare of September 11, 2001, and the 8 years of fear-mongering of Osama and Saddam Hussein, then we get President Barack Hussein Obama. All part of the big sick joke from the cabal. And keep in mind, this man was from Charlotte. Charlotte has Gematria 39 the small way, 102 the big way. He's dead right after the 102nd NFL season ends. And being dead on the 68th day of the year, born on the 106th day, means he died 38 days before his birthday. Death, murder, killing, R.I.P., all 38. Just like how we were talking about. The CIA director said there's going to be a lot more death in Ukraine, and he said it on March 8th. Date can be written 38 or 83. Murders 38 and 83. The song by The Police, Murder by Numbers, came out in 83. Did you notice yesterday there was a national headline about 3 police officers shot on 3/8 in Missouri? Again, the same type of rituals all over the place. And here, one more thing. I see we're coming up on a commercial break. I was long-winded again. Today I caught something on CNN that I'd never seen before. They began advertising something called the Ungun. Their news segment tonight was sponsored by the Ungun, and I had to look up what that was. And what it is it's a new weapon being marketed to police officers, and civilians can get it as well. It's meant to shoot somebody and deter them and neutralize them without killing them. And it's not like a taser. It shoots a bullet, but the bullet is a mix of pepper spray and tear gas. So if you've ever been hit with tear gas, I mean, makes you, or if you've been hit with pepper spray, both are not nice. I don't know exactly how it works. I'm kind of curious. Like, if you shoot somebody in the chest with it, is it just like the mist and the spray shoots up into their face? You know, if you shoot them in the leg, is it going to be effective? But anyway, I thought it was so interesting they were marketing this on CNN tonight. And I'm wondering, is it an accident? I mean, I as someone who pays attention to the news every day, not that I want to because I can't stand it, but because I do this research to expose it, I have never seen this advertised on CNN before today. And gun does have Gematria 39. Here we are on 39. It says it's being marketed to police departments, and apparently the Kansas City Police, from what I read earlier, were the first department to try out the Ungun, UNGUN. So oh my goodness, I am an idiot, you guys. I am a fool.
Are the least independent and uncensored talk radio.
My fault, you guys. I forgot to connect to TFR, so there was no connection to TFR, but at least we got it on the YouTube stream.
Travis Cook, America's Evil Genius, here to invite you to join us every Tuesday afternoon here on Truth Frequency Radio. No, on our show you will not see a bunch of three-piece suits or a cocktail party, and you certainly won't see a bunch of inside the Beltway banter, but you will see eye-gouging, crotch-kicking, no-holds-barred political discussion, the likes of which you won't see anywhere else in media. America's Evil Genius. We come to you every Tuesday from the outskirts of war-torn St. Louis, Missouri, where there's always a good race rider sex scandal just around the corner. Join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, at noon on the left coast right here on TFRlive.com. America's Evil Genius, Travis Cook, on TruthFrequencyRadio.com.
Real people, real radio.
Initiating the truth frequency.
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
All right, apologies to the TFR audience. I was not connected properly to the radio show. If you missed the first 30 segments or 30 minutes of the broadcast tonight, the good news is it is on my YouTube channel, Gematria Effect News 24. Apologies to everyone. User error on my part. And the good news is we are at that part of the show where we got the brilliant mind of Rambo with us. And if you guys are not subscribed to Rambo's YouTube channel, I'm telling you, you're missing out. The Truth Codes. I love his recent work with the robot here to replace us. But without further ado, it's Rambo. How you doing, friend?
I'm doing well. Thank you for promoting my channel.
Always. The work is brilliant. Hey, by the way, Rambo, somebody's been spamming all week that they feel that I patronize you on the show. And they seem to be sincere about their remarks. Do you feel like I patronize you?
It depends what they mean by patronize. I mean, I'm assuming by patronize they mean that, I don't know, this is the example I would give for patronize. Just say like, I don't know, like, for example, I'll give my own personal experience because, you know, I'm, like my mother part of my family is from the United States, and my father's part is from Africa, Kenya. And sometimes you'll tell people, you know, that you lived in Africa, you're from Africa, and they'll say something like, "Oh, Africa is so beautiful. I've always wanted to be," something like that would be patronizing.
Okay.
Would you agree on that? Like, that's like what you think would be meant by patronize, where you're not. It's kind of like insincere.
Yeah, for my understanding of patronize is like kind of like you're fake nice to somebody.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Like, again, someone like like I said, like somebody from Africa might say, "I'm from Africa," and then they might not necessarily have a very positive image of Africa. But
Sure.
They're saying it because they really don't have a positive image of Africa, and they're saying it so they don't feel bad. Like, "Oh, Africa is so wonderful. It's so beautiful. You know, I've always wanted to visit. You know, that kind of thing." So the way this wouldn't apply, because if you felt that way, I guess the implication would be that, I don't know, maybe that I guess they're implying that maybe you're not into what I present necessarily. What do I talk about? I talk about things that I guess most people in the Gematria community don't talk about. Things like, I guess, symbolism, mythology, and astrology. And guess what the implication would be is that you're not into that, and you're kind of like shaking your head and saying, nodding your head and saying, "Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, you know, yeah, this is really important," but you don't really feel that way. But if you didn't, then why would I have a segment on your show every week? I think last week I was here for an hour and a half. 2 weeks before that I was on for an hour and a half, and then I have you allow me to post on your blog, and anything I post, it's your blog, so anything I post gets associated with you. Like that doesn't sound like patronizing at all.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way, because they just seem so adamant about it. And I was saying with him, well, I don't feel like I'm patronizing him. I appreciate him coming on the show. I said some decodes of his I like a lot more than others, but I mean, I'm happy to let you present whatever you want each week, because I always get something out of it, and no doubt about it, all your contributions have helped advance the work a ton. I mean, we're understanding more and more how important the astrological piece is. It's huge. So.
Yeah, I don't know what the maybe that person is not. I don't know.
Well,
yeah,
it's okay.
Just a comment.
It's okay. I'm looking forward to this presentation because I see the number 225 up there. I did a little bit on this plane, but I'm going to see where you take it. So I'm ready, Rambo. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not so much focusing on the 225 here. But the title is The Occulted Meaning of the Antonov AN 225 Narrative. Mercury and the God of Transportation and Dreams. So, if those are not familiar, a major story that's emerged from the invasion of Russia of the Ukraine is the destruction of the world's largest commercial plane. I don't think there might be a military plane that's bigger, but it has to be. I can't imagine a plane bigger than this. So it's, some say it's the biggest plane in the world. Some say it's the biggest commercial plane in the world, implying that a military plane might be as big. And yeah, it's a sight to behold. And it's called the Antonov AN 225 Maria. It is actually built in conjunction with Ukraine and the Soviet Union. They built it together. Actually, primarily built by the Soviet Union space program. They're actually the main architects of the whole thing. And I've stressed, like I did in my intro when you're asking me, I do talk about ancient archetypes and mythology and astrology and how those things will dictate the events of history and modern times. And this is an example. And talk about Mercury. Mercury is a planet, and the planets are anthropomorphized as gods. And the ancient gods, their personalities and the realms that they rule and their characteristics are based on the vibrations or the forces of the planet. So when you have a god Mercury, a lot of the personality and the traits of the god Mercury have to do with the effects that the planet Mercury has. Like, so Mercury is depicted as swift, with wings on the helmet, wings on the ankle, and very young and athletic. That has to do with the fact that the planet Mercury is the closest planet to the sun and has the shortest orbit and just whips around the sun really quick. So that's a metaphor for somebody who's very fast and athletic. It's Mercury whipping around the sun. So that's why these are anthropomorphisms. It's actually describing forces that the planets have on Earth in the form of a god. And that's also one of the reasons Mercury is said to be the planet that rules the realm of transportation, because it's in perpetual motion. It has the shortest orbit, the fastest orbit. So it's in constant motion, constant whipping around, like the wheels turning. So there's a lot of movement with Mercury, and that is why Mercury is said to be, quote-unquote, God, not literally a god, of traveling and transportation. And I show that it is acknowledged that way in modern times. And the most vivid example is the most famous transportation hub in the world, which is in New York City. It's Grand Central Terminal. This huge, gigantic terminal. It's a tourist site. People come to Grand Central Terminal, to New York. They want to see Grand Central Terminal. It's a spectacular place. And I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that Grand Central Terminal in New York City is literally a temple to Mercury. On the southern facade, there's a spectacular sculpture of Mercury. And Mercury is known for holding the caduceus. The caduceus is the pole with the two snakes entwined around the pole. At the top of the pole is a knob with wings. That's a caduceus. Inside Grand Central Terminal, which has the zodiac and the stars on the ceiling, it has molded caduceus of Mercury on the ceiling. I think there's 6 of them. And it just occurred to me, I think this is literally a temple to Mercury as the god of transportation. So this is an example of how, this is not something esoteric. No, it is esoteric, but it is something that is honored today in modern times. Grand Central Terminal is the primary example. They're consciously acknowledging Mercury as the god of transportation. And the primary numbers, when you have to do with Mercury, if you're decoding a Mercury-related ritual, would be the Gematria values, for one, which in the base ciphers is 103, 40, 86, and 41. But 103 in the simplest cipher, it's a simple or ordinal. But more than any, it's 41. For some reason, they go with 41. That's the one that manifests the most for Mercury, and that's a reverse Pythagorean or reverse full reduction. And an example of how 41, again, Mercury in modern times is acknowledged as the ruler of transportation. And if you look at that, the foundation date of the United States Department of Transportation. Its first day of operation. It's 4-1. So they're acknowledging Mercury as the god of transportation, and they're acknowledging the Gematria, the 41. The Department of Transportation's first day of operation was April 1st, 4-1. And this date will come up in the decode. Also, the National Transportation Safety Board, the NTSB, it was founded on that same day, April 1st, 4-1. These are two transportation-oriented institutions with 41 coded into them in their foundation date. The other Mercury number is 88. And 88 is a Mercury number because it takes the planet Mercury 88 days to complete one revolution around the sun. So that's like a year for Mercury, but in Earth terms, it's just 88 days. Mercury has completed one revolution around the sun. They call it the orbital cycle. And then there's the magic square of Mercury. The sun, moon, and the planets up to Saturn all have a magic square. A magic square, they have every row and every column adds up to the same number. It's for every magic square has this. And every diagonal adds up to that same number. So the magic square of Mercury is 8 by 8, where every row and column and diagonal adds up to 260. But most importantly, the magic square of Mercury is 8 by 8, so that's 88. 88 is also the orbital cycle of Mercury. So that's why if you're decoding a Mercury-related ritual, the number 88 will manifest. An example of that is Back to the Future, very famous example, where it was about traveling, it was about time traveling in an automobile, the DeLorean. It needed 88 miles an hour in order to time travel, because that's travel. Who rules around travel? It's Mercury, and that's 88 is a Mercury number. And who was the star of the show? They cast people on their zodiac signs. The star of the show was Michael J. Fox, who's a Gemini, and Mercury rules the zodiac sign of Gemini. And that's another part of analyzing something like a Mercury-related ritual, is which zodiac signs are ruled by the planet Mercury. It's Virgo and Gemini. Those are the two zodiac signs ruled by the planet Mercury. And so 88 does manifest with the Antonov 225, and Gematria, reverse ordinal, reverse simple. Antonov comes to 88. And if you take, there's an asterisk. This is against the rules of Gematria, but what the Gematria calculator allows you to do is combine Gematria with numerology. So Antonov AN 225 Maria, which is the name, with 225 written in as numerals, sums to 88. And again, by adding 225, you get 2 plus 2 plus 5, which is 9. But technically, that's not Gematria, that's numerology. So what that's doing is combining Gematria and numerology. Well, we do it that way. Antonov AN 225 Maria sums to 88. Just like Antonov 88, that's the Mercury number. And also I didn't have a graphic for this. I'll put this up later. I missed it. But there is a graphic that shows that the wingspan of the Antonov was 88 meters. That's a lot of 88, and that's consciously done as Mercury, the ruler of the realm that the Antonov is part of. Now, there's a bigger 88 to this ritual. This is the biggest one. It's the year that the Antonov 225 Maria made its maiden flight. And not just, it was 1988. And not just the year 88, but specifically December 21st, 1988, because on that day, December 21st, 1988, that very day, Pan Am Flight 103 exploded and crashed over Lockerbie, Scotland, that very same day. So there's almost a birth and death ritual. You had the birth of the Antonov during its maiden flight, and you had the death of Pan Am Flight 103. It's called the Clipper Maiden of the Seas. That's the name. So the Clipper Maiden of the Seas had its death. This is all the realm of Mercury. That's what happened in 88. It's not a coincidence that these two happen. Mercury also deals with duality, yin-yang. Mercury is fast and slow. It's fast around the sun, but it's slow on its own orbit. Mercury takes 2 months in Earth time, 59 days, to complete one rotation on its own orbit. So it's fast around the sun, but slow rotating on its own orbit. So it's fast and slow. It's yin-yang. That's one of the aspects of, just duality. Like Mercury rules Gemini. What's Gemini? It's twins, duality. So here you have birth, death in the year 88. And so, it's not a coincidence. These two incidents happen on the same day. And the biggest transportation-oriented ritual featuring airplanes was 9/11, which featured 4 planes. And the culprits, who's the official scapegoat, was Osama bin Laden, and his birthday was the 10th of March, which is 103. Mercury comes to 103. That's out of Pan Am Flight 103. All this can't be a coincidence. It's really heavily coded with Mercury. I mean, plus Mercury comes to 41. That's the number that manifests most for Mercury. In the reverse Pythagorean, reverse simple 41. Airplanes has Gematria of 41. Construction of the Pentagon began on September 11th in the year 41. I remember the date I brought up, April 1st, 41. That's the founding dates of the United States Department of Transportation and the National Transportation Safety Board. Well, the person who's been accused of bombing Pan Am Flight 103 is Abdel Basset al-Megrahi. His birthday was April 1st, 41. This is a consistent pattern. It can't be a coincidence. This is 41 again.
Rambo, you could have added in there with the Osama. You could have added in with the Osama bin Laden being born on 10/3. Again, Al Qaeda equals 41. Saudi Arabia 41. Again, like you said, September 11th on the 41 date numerology compared to Pearl Harbor in 41. So I just want to make sure we got that extra 41-103 thing. But again, Mercury, for people who aren't following, 41-103, Pan Am 103, 41 bomber, 9/11 planes, this Ukrainian plane. That Rambo, just to rewind, I don't want to break your flow because I'm really enjoying it, but I was just noticing the thing about the magic square of Mercury, and I was hoping you're going to touch on it. Maybe you're going to ahead, but each row and column adds up to 260, and that's exactly how many chapters are in the New Testament, and religion has that gematria 260. We were just talking about the ritual with the Microsoft CEO's son dying in 260, and seemingly some kind of mockery of the Bible and the sacrifice of the son. But you were talking about the parallels with Mercury and Jesus the other week. And again, the New Testament's the Christian section of the Bible. I was just thinking with the whole 88 thing in Mercury and the 8x8 square. In Greek, Jesus, in Greek isopsophy, Jesus' name is 888. And do you see anything on that, or maybe if it's better to just save it for the end? I don't want to forget the question, but I feel like there's got to be something more there, something biblical.
Yeah, see, this is the thing with Mercury. Each planet has a specific, you could say, realm that it rules. A quote-unquote rules a specific realm, or it has an effect on a certain aspect of life. You know, Saturn is time. Saturn is also neutral. That's why it's the Saturn is part of the judicial system because it's actually neutral, so it's not just bad. Mars is war. Mars is also action. But the thing about Mercury is it rules over more aspects of life than any other planet by far. So when I talk about Mercury, and this is an example, when you talk about I'm just talking about Mercury as the ruler of the realm of transportation, then you can see how you're always tempted with Mercury to branch off into something else because it also is, like associated with duality and associated with many other things. But yes, I've talked in the past because September 11th has been said to be the real birthday of the entity popularly known as Jesus. Jesus is a title that the Romans came up with. If there actually was a physical person, most likely, there was no Jesus. Their name most likely, some people would say, would have been Yahushua or Yeshua. In Hebrew, it's translated to Joshua. There are many other names, but September 11th is said to have been, by many believe that's to be his real birthday. And I have a feeling that it is, or somebody, I'm not saying exactly who that person is, somebody of some importance was born at that time, because I think that was the central reason for the September 11th event in 2001, World Trade Center. I actually believe that. And the reason that's focused on Mercury is because, well, September 11th is under Virgo. Virgo is ruled by Mercury. And Mercury rules Gemini. The symbol is twins. That's what the Twin Towers were. They were a Gemini symbol. So they're focusing on Mercury. And another astrology aspect is September 11th. In astrology, one of the most powerful elements in astrology, in any given moment, could be a birth or a major ritual or any major event, but the most powerful phenomenon is the eastern horizon, whatever is rising in the east, because the rising energy is an initiatory energy. It's a very powerful energy, like a birth. It's very powerful. So you have to have the location, the specific time of an event to see what was on the eastern horizon. And on September 11th at 8:46, Mercury, the planet Mercury, was rising on the east. So that pretty much clinches. That was knowledge of astrology. That was a ritual primarily focused on Mercury. So, and yes, it is said by some to be the birth of, who people believe is Jesus. And that's why, so the 260 Magic Square, that's a good, I didn't even realize that the matchup between the Magic Square of Mercury and the New Testament.
Yeah,
I think that's a very good observation.
Because I'm just thinking the 8s really connect to Jesus in Greek isopsophy, which is where the original code for the New Testament is. For people who don't know, Revelation 13:18, since it was originally written in Greek, it was a Greek isopsophy riddle. You were supposed to be able to solve who the beast was from the author's point of view based on the code and what was known to the common people. And so I know you were saying something about Jesus and Mercury the other week, and I just wanted to hear it again. Was there any other comparison you could come with Jesus and Mercury besides his birthday might be September 11th in the time of Virgo ruled by Mercury? Is there any other comparison there?
Well, in popular culture, not just popular culture, but people who have been portrayed as Jesus, and a wide variety of people have been portrayed as Jesus, a wide variety of people from different zodiac signs. And I track it. The overwhelming majority, and I've looked at as many as I can, who portray Jesus or Jesus-type figures have been Gemini or Virgo, which seems to be pointing at Mercury.
Sure.
And, for example, so they say the image of Jesus, which is the, kind of Italian-looking, with a goatee or a beard and mustache, long hair, that typical image. That's said to have come from Cesare Borgia. The Borgias are part of what they call the black nobility, nobiltà nera. Those elite families, Borgia. So the trick they're saying they played is they took one of their family, a Borgia, and have Christians worship that image. But Cesare Borgia's birthday is September 13th, which is Virgo. And you know that Tupac Shakur, for example, who portrayed Jesus, he was a Gemini, but he died on September 13th, which is the date of Cesare Borgia's birthday. And in the movie The Matrix, Neo, who's a Jesus figure, they show a close-up of his passport, and Neo's birthday is September 13th, which is,
Exactly.
And also his passport expires on September 11th.
I think that's the ultimate example. Tupac Shakur, especially with his last album, Machiavelli. And then again, he assumes this rap alias after Machiavelli, the Italian who faked his death. And then in Roman mythology, Mercury's the trickster. And again, it really does look like it was all a load of deception to sell records and, create more interest in a genre of music that's become monstrous since that time. And again, and he wasn't traveling in a vehicle at the time when the shooting happened. Your transportation point. It was right after the gun control bill, and he's the main star in the film Above the Rim, where the Regulators song came from that synced up with the major gun regulation of '94. Then Tupac dies on the 2-year anniversary of it. Tupac on the 2-year anniversary, killed from gun violence. And of course, gun control's 139, like Tupac Shakur's 139. And again, that's the 34th prime. And Jesus is 34. And again, the Virgin Mary's birthday, September 8th, also in Virgo. And then Tupac's mom, her death was announced on May 3rd. She reportedly died May 2nd, but her death was announced May 3rd, the real Machiavelli's birthday. So I feel like the Tupac thing now, just all this coming together, transportation, the trickster probably didn't really die. Hard to say. I mean, but even if he did, it was a different story than what we know. Because, I mean, how didn't Suge Knight get shot? He's right next to him. It doesn't make any sense. His last music video he puts out is him in heaven before it happens. It's like, come on, man. And then Notorious B.I.G.'s dead right before his album releases, Life After Death. It's just like, come on. And by the way, today's the anniversary of Notorious B.I.G.'s death. March 9th, 3/9. Black men dead in connection to 39 and 93. Anyway, Rambo, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I know you got more to go, but it was just bugging me. I didn't want to forget the thing about 260 because sometimes I forget my questions. And anyway, you got a lot of great information, but I think there's even more for the community to research here. I'm thinking there's something bigger with Jesus and Mercury. And I really do maintain, I don't mean to offend the Christians out there as I'm known to do, but I really do think Jesus is a trick on the people. I believe spirituality is true. Things are good, things are bad. You got to pick what side you should be on. You should be on the side of good and not evil. And Jesus isn't all bad, but just something ultimately about most Christians, how they think all they have to do at the end of the day is just believe in Jesus and essentially do nothing else. Somehow, overwhelmingly, this is not working out for the majority of people. And religion's always felt like an evil trick to me. So, anyway, Rambo, I'm going to stop and let you get back to where you were because, again, brilliant as always. We're not even done, but I'm already loving it. So, you got the floor, friend. Oh, hold on. It's commercial break. We'll be right back, and I won't interrupt Rambo when we come back. Sit tight.
This is iHeartRadio.
iHeartRadio.
iHeartRadio makes you want to move.
When you have a great melody, a song lasts
Forever. Instantly connected.
I love it when the beat goes.
Did you know you can listen to Truth Frequency Radio on iHeartRadio? Just download the app to your smart car, smartphone, or smart TV and get the best of TFR wherever you are.
iHeartRadio. I'll see you there.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes.
They are a joke. And look, I'm sad that the young turds turned into that. He says, if Joe Rogan tries to assault me, whatever, that's incredibly dumb. When you're a turd, you're a turd. Guys, I've never been scared to fight in my life. Get up! When you're a turd, you're a turd. Joe's a badass. I'm not kissing his ass. So just please stop. To be fair to Joe, people keep making it seem like we're into beef. Am I gonna fight him? Absolutely. I'll end you all. Oh, you say that's my... What's he gonna do? He's like a gorilla. I've seen Joe beat people up. But I do know he's full of crap. If I was an out-of-shape fat ass, he's way worse than I am. He's put out a tweet just saying that he will beat up Joe Rogan. I'm not putting Joe on blast. It's all his little boys who are like, oh no, oh, he's gonna get you. He's gonna get you. Okay. When you're a turd, you're a turd. Guys, I've never been scared to fight in my life. Get up! When you're a turd, you're a turd. Joe's a badass. I'm not kissing his ass. So just please stop. I know I'm triggering them all. Do not actually fight each other. This is Satan talking about how if he was a dictator, he thinks about legalizing bestiality and pleasuring animals.
If I were the benevolent dictator of the world, I would legalize bestiality where you are pleasuring the animal.
Whoa!
I'll tell you what, there was like a guy or a girl or something that was pleasuring a horse, and the horse came to a conclusion, right? So who got harmed?
This is all, you guys are children, okay? Stop misleading people. When you're a turd, you're a turd. Guys, I've never been scared to fight in my life. Get up! When you're a turd, you're a turd. Joe's a badass. I'm not kissing his ass. So just please stop.
It is impossible to anticipate where the two monsters which suddenly appeared will attack next.
Hey, punk, you think you're tough? When you're a turd, you're a turd. Guys, I've never been scared to fight in my life.
orange. Situation delta in effect. Please enter your agent number now, followed by the hash key.
You have to create culture. Don't watch TV. Don't read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR.
Time comes when silence is betrayal.
More for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them.
Think for yourself. Question authority.
This code has been compromised.
All right, we're back, Truth Seeker. We got Rambo here. He's in the middle of another brilliant decode, talking about the recent plane, the largest plane in the world, supposedly destroyed in Ukraine by Russia. It just so happened that that plane, known as the Dream, had its first flight on the winter solstice, 1988, and that was the same day, December 21st, 1988. It had its first flight. The Pan Am 103 terrorist incident happened. An incident, a famous incident in history, or maybe I should say an infamous incident in history. And if you've missed out on what Rambo's been talking about, he's connected it back to 9/11, Mercury, and a number of other things. And I'm going to let him take it away again. So, back to where you were before I interrupted you, Rambo. Apologies. Oh, hold on. Hold on, you guys. User error again. My fault, Rambo. Okay, friend. Now you got the floor. There we go. Rambo, are we still connected? Uh-oh. We should be connected, but I think we're having some kind of technical glitch. Interesting. Rambo, if you can hear me and for some reason your voice isn't transmitting, you're welcome to call my number and we can connect that way, but why? Hold on. Let's try it one more time. Rambo? Well, that is too bad. Rambo, I'm going to keep you on the line in case something went down on your end. But if for some reason not connecting through there, please do call me on the number. I'll keep my eyes on the phone. And... Yeah, he still has quite a bit more to present, so he is definitely not done with his presentation. And again, for those of you who like to read, Rambo does post all of his material at gematriaeffect.news under the section Rambo's Corner. And, yeah, I don't want to go out to another caller just in case somehow he gets connected at any moment. You know what? I'll just try and fill in for Rambo and read his post until he gets there and does it the proper way. But again, where he had last left off is, again, the relationship with Mercury and through Gematria, how Mercury equates to 41 and 103, and how important those numbers were with 9/11, Al-Qaeda, and Osama, how they make up the numbers 41 and 103, and then the Pan Am bomber of Flight 103 was born on 4/1, April Fool's Day. This relationship with Mercury, and of course, April 1st, Rambo texted and said he's back on the line. Rambo, can you hear me? Huh. I don't know what's going on. Here, let me try to reset the system real quick. That is bizarre. Alright, one more time. Rambo, are you on? I'm texting him real quick. See, we might have to get him on through the phone. I don't know what's happened. But, again, while we wait for Rambo to reconnect, again, he was bringing us through the parallels between this Ukrainian plane destroyed, supposedly in a needless Russian act of militarism, and again, Pan Am 103. And Rambo points out that December 21st, 1988, the day of the first flight of the Dream, the same day the Pan Am tragedy happened, again on the winter solstice, that was the 356th day of the year. And Rambo points out that the planes involved in September 11th, 2001, Flight 11, the first tower to hit a building, Flight 175, the second plane to hit a tower in New York, and Flight 77 at the Pentagon. Remember, Flight 77 took off supposedly crashed 77 minutes after taking off into the 77-foot tall Pentagon on the 77th Meridian West. Of course, when you write out United States, it equals 77, and DC's on the 77th Meridian. The act that created the CIA, the National Security Act, or whatever it is, Securities Act, whatever it is, equals 77. The NSA, the official act that created the CIA and NSA, it equals 77. And think about that. Ever since 9/11, we've been giving up our liberties in the name of security. And when you write out September 11th as words, it's 77. And when you write out World Trade Center, it's 77. But anyway, the 4 planes on 9/11, 11, 175, 77, and also 93, which crashed, supposedly into the field in Pennsylvania, even though they couldn't find any plane parts. That adds up to 356. And Rambo's pointing out that the winter solstice is the 356th day of the year, and the Pan Am flight tragedy, which got this stuck in a lot of people's minds about 13 years before 9/11, those flight numbers go with that date. Flight 103, Osama bin Laden, born on 10/3, Mercury 103. Remember, 9/11 was simulated by the feds with Project Amalgam Virgo. An amalgam's a mixture of Mercury and another metal, and Virgo's ruled by Mercury, and September 11th is in the time of Mercury. And, what a great observation. I'd never thought of it before, how they go together so perfectly. And boy, do they ever. And boy, does it ever make more sense than it ever did. So, again, Rambo's always been a huge contributor. And anyhow, Rambo writes on, another aspect of Mercury was invoked in naming the Antonov AN-225 Mariah. Rambo would have pronounced it much, much better. Hold on, he's texting again. What in the world? He says he's calling in. Hold on. Let's try this out. Rambo, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
There we go. All right, Rambo. Sorry, I was doing my best impersonation, but I'm going to let you take it over.
No, right before the commercial break ended, the line got cut off. It just cut off.
Huh. Weird.
And and it went straight to a alto. And that's not a coincidence. It's right after the commercial break ended.
Yeah, I mean, you're always in on something massive, but maybe there's somebody out there listening tonight who's like, I don't want these things finally connected. Anyway, it's going to happen. Here we go, Rambo. You got it. I'm listening.
Yeah, so it happens again in the future. What I do is I call back, but when I call back, I go to the end of the line.
Okay. I couldn't see that you hung up. I couldn't see that you hung up with the first call, but I do see where you called in again, so that's where I picked you up at.
Yeah, so you're mentioning about the trickster. This is the thing I was saying about Mercury. Mercury has so many aspects, so many more than any other planet. And like the same way, two people could be of the same zodiac sign, or a planet could affect multiple people in different ways. Some people are more positive or negative, or different people will will adopt different characteristics of either a sign or a planet. So with Mercury, the Jesus part of Mercury, you can even see in the mythology of Greco-Roman mythology of Mercury, how Jesus is tied into it. I also brought up the Good Shepherd. I showed from when we talk about the astronaut shepherd, and he was on the spaceflight Project Mercury and Project Gemini. He was on both of them. His name is Shepherd. The name the Good Shepherd, we Christians agree that's the title for Jesus, the Good Shepherd. That came from Hermes and Mercury, who was depicted holding a sheep or a ram on his shoulders. And that was centuries before, like way before Christianity existed. So that's another tie-in with Mercury and Jesus, the Good Shepherd. That's Mercury, or that's Hermes holding the sheep or the ram on his shoulders. And Mercury rules the realm of herds and flocks. Remember you brought up you decoded the Ammon Bundy standoff, remember that?
Of course. Big 41 ritual.
Yeah, and when I see 41, I think Mercury. So what, you want to guess what Ammon Bundy's zodiac was? He's a Virgo.
Makes perfect
sense. So Ammon Bundy's a Virgo, that means he's ruled by Mercury, and the whole thing was about him, he's on government grazing land. He's a cattle herder. That's Mercury. Mercury rules the realm of herds. So that was a Mercury ritual, but dealing with the aspect of Mercury that has to do with ruling the realm of herds.
You know what?
And flocks.
You know what I realized after all these years? It's like without the astrology piece, you can still understand the ritual and get ahead of their thing. Like if you guys weren't here at the time, I said why the day that Ammon Bundy standoff in the middle of Oregon at a closed federal building, why I said it would either end in 13 days like the Alamo or in 41 days, the 13th prime, which was the number coded all over it. Because it started immediately after the Alamo Bowl ended, where Oregon lost in a historic comeback, and they ended up with 41 points. And Ranchers is 41, and Ammon Bundy's 41, and Standoff's 41, and San Antonio's 41. And sure enough, it lands in 41 days. And like I said, if it ends on the 41st day, it'll be the 42nd day of the year, which is the day in history that, Waco's 42, which is another standoff down in Texas near where the Alamo Bowl was. But now, understanding the astrology piece, I mean, I knew that was a deception, but now it just makes so much sense. So he's in Mercury, and like you're saying, Mercury has all these elements, but I really think that the one that's the most important to them, from what I can observe, is the trickster. Again, that early 1800s definition of Jesuitism was deception and trickery, and we know 201's a number they like, which is related to Mercury's atomic weight. And again, it seems that the rituals are there with the periodic table as well. Mercury has the atomic weight of approximately 201. It's atomic number 80. The actress who's launched the fund for Ukraine, her name equals 80. The name of her fund equals 80, and she launches it on the 201st day of the year on a Wednesday today. Hayden Panettiere, or however you say her last name, on a Wednesday named after Mercury. And again, it seems like it's an obvious trick, siphoning money from the public who's getting caught up in the theater of war. This girl comes from the Disney fraternity, Walter Elias Disney 201. Her husband's the boxer, a Ukrainian who just happens to be the brother of the mayor of Kyiv. And she just happens to be on a film called Tiger Cruise, and all this is going down in the year of the tiger. And again, Tiger Cruise starts at Pearl Harbor, where Biden and Putin met on Pearl Harbor Day to talk about Ukraine. I mean, it's just obvious all this stuff is a deception and a big trick on the sleeping masses. So, do you think I'm mistaken? Am I being naive in my thing to say that that Mercury might be the most important, or the trickster element of Mercury might be the most important, or do you see something else that's equally as important, if not more important?
Since, I guess you could call this magic or sorcery, because they are so dark and negative, and since deception is such a big part of their plan, well, yeah, the planet, which is, again, anthropomorphized as a god, that actually they would want to invoke is Mercury. But this is the thing, they're invoking a negative side of Mercury. Like with Mars, they want to invoke war, so they have to invoke Mars for that. But if you want to do it, because deception, that's a central part of, if you want to control people, you have to deceive them, like more than anything else is deception. So for that reason, they have to invoke the quote-unquote god of deception, who is Mercury. But, so for them, yes, because that's so important, they will want to invoke that. as a priority, because you're not going to get it from. And this is magic we're describing. They're doing magic. It's sorcery, and they use astrology and the stars. Yeah, so if you want to deceive, the god, quote unquote, of deception is Mercury. But one thing I always stress about these things is these planets or signs, they have a positive and a negative. So the positive sign, which is the part which is associated with Jesus, Mercury in mythology has a god for a father. So Jupiter is the father of Mercury. And Jupiter's a god. He's the chief god in the Greco-Roman pantheon. But Mercury's mother is a mortal. His mother is not a god. His mother is Maya. And that you can see where that narrative existed long before Christianity existed. You can see how that narrative plays into Jesus. A god for a father and a mortal for a mother. And Mercury / Hermes is the messenger of the god. So he's a god who's a messenger who goes from the spiritual realm into the material realm for the purpose of delivering a message of spiritual enlightenment. So yeah, that aspect they do not want to invoke.
Well, that right there, Rambo, that right there, see, that's why I appreciate the thing that you understand these things. Right there, that communicates Jesus in a way, right? Jesus is kind of like the messenger for God in the mortal flesh. And the Vatican and the Pope, that's kind of how they treat the Pope. Like he's the mortal representative of God on earth. And so that fits in with the whole 201 Jesuit thing as well. Would you agree? The Holy Bible equals 201.
It goes back.
The Holy Bible 201. The Word of God, right? The Holy Bible 201, the Word of God, the messenger of God, here in pages, written in pages.
Yeah, it goes back to ancient times where the mortal kings, people who were mortal, the kings, they claimed to be gods as well. They were both mortal, material, flesh and blood kings, rulers, and they were gods as well. Okay, so this is what I was talking about Mercury, how it's yin-yang. It's spirit, flesh. It's fast, and it's slow. The whole yin-yang duality is the realm of Mercury. Like I said, and it's clear in this ritual here, the fact that the Antonov 225, on the exact date that it made its birth, maiden flight, an airplane crashed. That was birth, death. That's yin-yang. That right there is Mercury in a nutshell as far as the yin-yang aspect. It's life, death, birth, death, spirit, flesh. You'll see that duality. So yeah, they will claim that, yeah, that's what the church, when the church was founded, what it said is that they were you could say the liaison between the spirit world and the material world, and if you wanted a good life in the spirit world after this, you had to go through them. And that's the realm of Mercury. Mercury is also, it's called a psychopomp, which is it's a guide it's a god of transition. When you transition from the material world life to the afterworld and death, the guide was Mercury. So yeah, Mercury is a central, when it comes to astrology or quote unquote magic or whatever you want to call it, and the people, the esoteric foundation of, you call it the script that has been run, Mercury's at the heart of it. For multiple reasons.
Very interesting. Okay. All right. I know you had other thoughts. I'm getting you off track, but yeah, very interesting. It's all making more sense by the day.
The thing is, that's how it is when you talk about Mercury, because Mercury has so many aspects to it, more than any other planet. I suspect it's because it's so close to the sun, and the sun, let's face it, there's no life without the sun. The sun is the most important celestial body to us. No sun, no life. And Mercury is closest. Mercury is practically a satellite of the sun. And I suspect that that's the reason that it's so central, even though it's a tiny little planet. But yeah, okay, so back to the Antonov. Again, Mercury rules the realm of transportation, and the 88 is all over it. Magic square Mercury is 8 by 8. Mercury's orbital cycle is 88 days. Antonov sums to 88. During the break, I included the graphic of the wingspan of the Antonov 225, which showed that it was 88 meters. So I added that graphic. And then Antonov AN225 Maria, which I don't know if that's the right pronunciation, but it's 88. And then 88 is the big one. It's the year, 1988, that it made its maiden flight, and flight 103 crashed December 21st, the exact same day. And it's flight 103. What is 103? Mercury is 103. And another 103 was Osama bin Laden's birthday, 10th March, 103. And he was said to have masterminded a airplane-related incident. And 41 was all over that. You mentioned some 41s. Airplanes is 41. The construction of the Pentagon began in the year 41 on September 11th. And we talked about the 41 as a date, April 1st. And that was given, April 1st is a day that the NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board, is founded, or the United States Department of Transportation is also founded on April 1st. I mean, what are the odds of all of this? 4-1. And then who is accused of being the culprit for the Pan Am Flight 103 bombing? It's Abdel Basit Al-Megrahi, and his birthday is April 1st. So there's your 41 again, and that ties in the United States, especially with transportation, and especially air transportation. So I'll look at the date, December 21st, 1988. Again, that's the day for the maiden flight of the Antonov, and the last flight for the Clipper Maiden of the Seas, flight 103 Pan Am. That was the 356th day of the year. 1988 was a leap year. So in the leap year, 1988, December 21st was the 356th day of the year. 356, a very important number, relevant to 9/11, because when you add the flight numbers from 9/11, the 4 flights, it was 77 plus 93 plus 175 plus 11. It sums up 356. And so yeah, December 21st, 1980 was the 356th day of the year. So that's a crucial number to this ritual. Also, if you, I didn't include it here, but since I'm on the subject, if you spell out 356 in the base ciphers, is a perfect match in all 4 base ciphers with New World Order. And another aspect of Mercury, I'll say how Mercury rules over many realms. Mercury also rules over the realm of dreams. I gave a link to, there's a great website if someone's interested in Greek mythology. It's called theoi.com. I put a link to it. And it's very in detail. And under the Hermes is Mercury. It explains every single aspect of Hermes Mercury. And it's the lot that has the most pages of any other god there. Hermes Mercury rules the realm of dreams, and in mythology, Greco-Roman mythology, Hermes, because he's able to put people to sleep and make them dream, he puts Apollo to sleep and then steals his cattle. And that ties into what I've been talking about. I know you've been talking about too. You see that's the trickery aspect and the cattle aspect, like Ammon Bundy, who's a Virgo. Ammon Bundy actually has the same birthday as Muhammad Atta, September 1st. So there's the cattle, because he rules over the realm of herds, and he's a trickster. He put Apollo to sleep, and he rules over the realm of dreams. He can put you to sleep. So I know this is Mercury. It's a multifaceted Mercury, but this is why the name Maria, which means dream, directly references Mercury, and Gematria shows that as well. Because Mercury is 41. That's the biggest number for Mercury. Dream is 41. Mercury's Hermes. Hermes is 94 and 31. Dream is 94 and 31 in the same 2 ciphers. So this plane references Mercury as both the transportation aspect and the dream aspect. It's all about Mercury. Now, another part of the Mercury as the ruler of transportation aspect is the destination of Pan Am Flight 103. It actually started from Frankfurt, and we know who's from Frankfurt, the Rothschilds, but it started from Frankfurt, and it was headed to Detroit. Detroit was the final destination, but had 2 stops. It first stopped in London, then it was supposed to go to New York, and then end in Detroit. So it went from Frankfurt to London, and then in London, they say that's when the bomb was put on. Who knows when it was actually put on. And then it blew up over Lockerbie, but it was headed for Detroit. And why is Detroit relevant here because it's the motor city. Detroit was a hub for the manufacture of transportation, and that is the realm of Mercury. And we were just talking about September 13th, how it's Cesare Borgia's birthday because he's the image for Christ, the popular image, long hair, goatee. Comes with Cesare Borgia. That's the date that Tupac Shakur died on, and Tupac Shakur was portrayed as Jesus. Well, Detroit was incorporated on September 13th, a date in Virgo, a big Mercury day. And as also, September 13th was also the birthday of Neo in The Matrix. And who played Neo? It was Keanu Reeves, who's a Virgo. Certain roles can only go to people of a specific zodiac sign. If you're in a Virgo or maybe a Gemini, you're not getting the role as Neo in The Matrix, so when you understand it. And yes, so September 13th is the incorporation date of Detroit, a city which is defined by transportation, manufacturing vehicles, the motor city. And the last part here is of Ukraine. This all has to do with Ukraine. The plane was Ukrainian. In the city of Lviv in Ukraine, it's a big city. It's the biggest city, which is
Rambo, commercial. I'll be right back.
Number 3 is activity. Activity is what you do. So our lives, first of all, are affected by what we know. Second, our lives are affected by how we feel. Third, our lives are affected by what we do. It is so important to understand this. If you want to influence and help people, here's the key. Success is a doing. You've got to actually do it. Activity is high priority in the life process to try to get maximum benefit out of what we have available. Activity. Now, here's an important question. What is your philosophy about activity? What about hard work? What about long hours? What about full days? If you're doing something, how hard should you go at it? How much time should you put in? Everybody has to develop their philosophy about activity. Let me quote you. Old Testament says, 6 days activity, 1 day rest. That's called philosophy of ratio of activity.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. By Christine, great for heart palpitations. By Anne, before I started using this product, every afternoon my ankles and my hands would be swollen. That doesn't happen anymore. So if that part of their advertising is true, I have to assume that the rest of it is also. Not to mention that when I had my yearly blood test, only a few weeks after beginning to use this product, my cholesterol had dropped over 30 points. I'm going to continue to take it. By Croc, I love this product. It really works. By Brad, works great, thank you. Tell us your story. Get your Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite. Join me on the Nikki Colombo Show. It's time to reclaim our true history, our true timelines, our cosmic heritage. And remember to be humble, for you are made on earth, and to be noble, for you are made of stars.
You are now tuned into the truth frequency.
Your protection from deception.
TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
All right, we're back, Truth Seeker. We got Rambo with us. Still in the middle of the brilliant decode, and you got the floor, friend.
Well, thanks. So I'm going to end on this part here. One of the central locations in the current narrative in Ukraine is the city of Lviv, which is the biggest city nearest to the Poland border. And so that's central. That's where a lot of the world's media is going, because it's a big city with infrastructure, and because it's close to the Poland border. But in Lviv, in 2012, and this can't be by coincidence, 2012 was the same year that the Antonov made its maiden voyage in 2012. Well, in 2012, there was a statue of Mercury in a pretty central location of the city of Lviv that was revitalized. They decided in 225 to revitalize the statue of Mercury. Interestingly, at the same time as this plane, which is the realm of Mercury transportation, was being birthed. And now it's been restored. And this location is the center of the world's attention right now. And there's a statue of Mercury in the middle of that. And the location also, this again, is another aspect of Mercury. Mercury, because Mercury is a God and man, spirit flesh, is a spirit that manifests in the flesh to deliver a message, the messenger. So Mercury is that yin-yang. It crosses borders. It goes from the material world to the spiritual. Mercury crosses borders. So Mercury rules the realm of thresholds and borders, which is why Donald Trump, who's a Gemini, and Gemini is ruled by Mercury, what is his central campaign theme? It was the border. It is the U.S.-Mexico border. That is a Mercury reference because he's a Gemini and he's ruled by Mercury. That's the realm of Mercury, borders and crossings. That is why there's a statue of Mercury in Lviv, which is so close to the Poland border. So there's Mercury again. And that's why they're venerating Mercury in Lviv. And again, they restored the statue about the same time that plane was birthed. So, yeah, I'll end on that. But one thing I'll say about how the Catholic Church and the Jesuits, how Mercury's important to them. What you have to look at is St. Peter's cross, because they venerate St. Peter, and St. Peter's cross is the upside-down cross. In astrology, St. Peter's cross is called the mutable cross. And that's the cross made by, when you see the zodiacal wheel, there are 4 zodiac signs that form a cross because they're opposite each other. It's Gemini, Sagittarius, that's one part of the cross. Virgo, Pisces is the other. Those are called the mutable signs. It's the mutable cross, and that is St. Peter's cross. That's the upside down cross. So it's actually, and Mercury rules Virgo and Gemini, and then Sagittarius and Pisces are ruled by Jupiter. Pisces is also ruled by Neptune. So not to confuse, but what you want to look at as far as astrologically, what they focus on, the Jesuits specifically, it's St. Peter's cross. It's the mutable cross between those 4 zodiac signs.
Isn't that that patch for the Russian soldiers? Isn't that, or actually it's St. George, not St. Peter. Okay, but yeah, all these things you're bringing in, just so enlightening, Rambo. Interesting comment that was left also probably in the last week or so. Somebody said something like, "Zach, you're such an idiot. Haven't you figured it out yet? That they're not just planets, they are actual gods, and that's why they're so important to the Cabal, and that's why they have so much influence over humanity." What do you make of a thought like that? Is it, do you think these are more than just planets as we're taught? Is there a true spiritual component? Are they actual gods hovering above us? What's your take on that, Rambo?
I would say, someone created us, so we exist. We didn't create ourselves. Something, whatever it is that is the source of creation, is using those celestial bodies. And we have no proof. We can't put our money together and send our own space program to confirm all this stuff. We can't. We have to go by what, NASA and all these space programs are in cahoots, what they say they are, but they do have, this is considered pseudoscience, I know, to astronomers and people like NASA and scientists, but even they talk about Sirius. Look at all the veneration of Sirius that they do. You know, basically every government seems to bow down to so it's more than just a star. So whatever these celestial bodies are, these planets and stars, whatever the source of creation is, it uses those stars and planets to influence the events on Earth. And these people have a high level of knowledge, what you can call them, shaman or adepts, whatever you want to call them. They understand how those things work, and they use that knowledge to manipulate life on Earth to their ends. But they definitely have a power. And I think understanding how, which is really complicated. I mean, it may seem like I know a lot, but I feel it's, I mean, compared to what I wish I knew, what these adepts know, I wish I understood that. It's much more complicated. Definitely, they have some influence over what happens on Earth, and it's a benefit to know how they work. You know, so we do things at a certain time, you know, when there's all certain alignments or certain, you know, certain times of the year, you do certain, they don't just randomly, like, when they picked the ritual for September 11th, it wasn't just randomly picked. Like, I explained how on the eastern horizon, Mercury was rising on the eastern horizon. So things like that have to be taken into account. So I guess if they just randomly did, it would seem like they could just do it at any time. But if they did, I guess whatever their motive is, their end goal, either wouldn't be effective or it wouldn't be as effective if they didn't understand the laws of the universe. So I wouldn't say, again, I'm not saying I know, maybe that person is true, is right, maybe they are gods, but the way I see it is, whoever created everything put those planets and stars in place to influence the events on Earth. That's how I would put it.
Well, I think that's a good way of putting it. And for the person out there who asked the question and accused me of being an idiot, you know, I'm open-minded to these things. I don't normally explain things that way, but in a sense it would make sense. I mean, what they teach us in state school is essentially it's all science now. Religion's the superstition of the past. You know, spirituality's kind of a superstition. Everything's science and math. We all started from a big spark. And to me, that was never a fulfilling answer. And if truly everything about nature and life has a spiritual component to it, and again, some people think astrology is nothing but pseudoscience and nonsense, but I think if you take the time to study some of the more specific and larger texts that are as big as Bibles, there are really specific things about dates, and if you've ever known certain people and looked really into the date, you're like, well, that seems beyond coincidence. I mean, so, yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if at the end of the day that the ruling class did know all this time that there's this special spiritual energy, and it seems that, you know, being aware of it, they use it kind of in an exploitational way to dominate life on Earth. But people really do need to start thinking about these things more and what really is going on, and stop just going along so much with what happened to us in state school, where we're just supposed to throw out everything except for what they taught us in the textbook. And because clearly that isn't the extent of the truth of what's going on here. But I do appreciate the presentation.
That's why I like...
go ahead, Rambo.
That's why I like to give the example of Grand Central Terminal in New York City, where it has the statue of Mercury on its facade, because that's an example of how, yes, consciously, Mercury is being acknowledged as ruling the realm of transportation. It's Grand Central Terminal. It's the most famous transportation hub in the world, and there's a statue of Mercury, not by coincidence. And I looked at the sculptor who made it, and he's a Virgo. You know, I just talk about the dates that, you know, the National Aviation Administration was founded. It was August 23rd. That's Virgo, ruled by Mercury, and has the wing of Mercury in its logo. This is the government doing. So clearly, these are clear examples, and that's Kobe Bryant's birthday. You know, he's a Virgo. He died in the form of transportation. You know, I think it's pretty clear.
What about JFK? He clearly died in a Mercury ritual because he was in a car, but he's not. Or wait a minute, is May 29th isn't Gemini, is it? Or is it?
Yeah. John F. Kennedy is a Gemini.
Oh, so that is Gemini.
A Gemini, and his vice president.
Okay. So yeah, he was a Gemini, and then he dies in a form of transportation, and then he dies on the first day of Sagittarius. What do you see with the Sagittarius part?
See, that's what I was talking about, St. Peter's cross, which
That's
is the
the
mutable
cross.
cross.
I see. Okay.
Gemini and Sagittarius, they form one leg of the cross, and then Virgo and Pisces form the other leg. Now, saying, so you need to look at the cross itself.
Okay.
It's the upside down cross, St. Peter's cross.
I got that.
And he was no friend of the Vatican. Yeah.
Makes sense. All right, Rambo.
Also, his vice president, Lyndon Baines Johnson, was a Virgo, and he got sworn in on Air Force One.
Right.
Air Force One was on the ground in Dallas, and they all crammed into Air Force One to swear in LBJ, who's a Virgo. That was a Mercury ritual. Why are you having a swearing in of the United States president in a cramped airplane on the ground? Why would you do that? It's a Mercury ritual.
Now I get it more with Trump too, because I was always asking, what's with Trump and helicopters? This guy's always got something going on with a helicopter, and now I get it. Okay, he's a Gemini in the time, and again, just another mode of transportation. It's funny how they are just so ritualistic. I mean, to me, it's like, okay, that can't be harnessing the energy of the god, having the helicopter just blurring around, so his flop of hair is just all over the place. I mean, that can't be making the god Mercury that happy, at least in my mind, I wouldn't think, but they're definitely paying tribute, so it all makes more sense by the day. I do appreciate it, Rambo.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Any closing words tonight?
I've said a lot already.
All right, Rambo. Brilliant as always, friend. You have a great rest of your evening, your week. And hey, but if you ever want to jump in on the Sunday night show, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, if I have free time. Even preparing for this, and now that I have a channel, it's hard to. So much goes into preparing these things. But
okay.
I'll show up at some point. Definitely.
Okay. All right. Appreciate it, Rambo. You have a good night, friend.
All right, you too.
All right, take care. All right. Let's go out to Delaware. Delaware, you're on. Delaware? Been on hold for a long time. All right, maybe just tuned in tonight. Well, let's go out to Miami, Florida. Miami, you're on.
Hello?
Yeah. How you doing?
Oh, hey man, what's up?
Just doing the show?
Yeah, I don't really have a decode or anything today. I don't really have much to say. I just wanted to, my girlfriend, she was asking me if she could come on the show on Sunday, and she could talk about butterflies, like pollinators and stuff, that they're getting rid of them, and like how to help bring them back. She just wanted me to ask you if she could talk about that on Sunday.
Sure. That's a little bit different, but absolutely. The Sunday night show is going to have whoever wants to contribute in the community, just putting some thoughts out there. And I agree, there is something going on. It's not just butterflies that are disappearing. It seems to be all life forms. But, yeah, interesting. So she can definitely tune in on the Sunday night show.
Okay, yeah, thanks. I'll also want to come in too. I'll try and make it there. Yeah, thanks.
All right, buddy. Appreciate the call. Look forward to the Sunday night butterfly lesson. Take care, man. Have a good night.
Okay. Okay, good night. Bye.
See you. All right, let's go out to Beverly Hills, 310.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing tonight? Great show so far.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Can you put up a couple photos real quick while I talk, so people can see how you may already know or be aware of them, but just so people can see how in your face this is. The logo for Maserati and the logo for Alfa Romeo. And then I'm just going to talk while you pull those up. I was going to do this decode last week, but every time Rambo gets on, he pulls at my heartstrings at some of the other stuff that I'm really into. So I went into instead of my background, which is like kind of technology and mechanics and engineering and stuff, instead I went into the 9 planets now and 11 planets before, and the Titans from the Saturnian false moon Titan battling the Venusian gods of Earth on Mount Olympus, who, became the Greek mythos, and so they would be called the Olympians. So the battle was between the Olympians and the Titans. And then in the mechanical industry, we have sister ships, the Olympic and the Titanic. In that one, they sunk the Titanic, so allegorically they killed the Titanic, but that was also Jesuit trickery. That was actually the Olympic, because the Rothschilds owned White Star Shipping Line, and the Olympic had its maiden voyage and way prior to the Titanic even being completed. So it was damaged, and they put it in dry dock. And since they knew they were already trying to kill John Jacob Astor, Guggenheim, and Isidore Straus, so they just renamed the Olympic the Titanic. So that goes into that industry. And then, I just want to throw some more evidence on top of the heap of evidence you've already put out about how these numbers like 201, 47.
Hold on. They cut off our connection. No one's hearing anything. They cut.
Go ahead.
The stream got cut off. So I'm trying to get you to stop until the stream comes back up. The stream's back on. I just want you to rewind like 20 seconds because they cut off the stream. So, but we're back on for now.
I heard it. It started beeping.
Yeah.
It started beeping. That's probably when the stream cut off.
Yeah.
What was I saying right at that point? Damn it.
Did
you hear everything that I said, even though after the stream went out?
Well, except for not the last 15 seconds, because I was trying to get you to stop talking because you couldn't hear me. But just go right where you were then. Yeah, I just wanted it got interrupted, so nobody was hearing what you're saying. But just go ahead. You were going to eventually get to the Maserati and Alfa Romeo symbols, and I see the tridents in them. So.
Yeah, and you see the other one with the nice Templar and the reptilian eating the guy.
And they make the guy kind of look like a trident.
Yep. So anyway, this stuff goes all. I talked about how the biggest baddest plane was the 747. The biggest baddest gun is the AK-47. And then when the 747 wasn't the biggest baddest plane anymore, when they birthed the Antonov, then they allegorically killed off the 747 with Pan Am Flight 103, which was, of course, a 747. And then, like, the most popular gun is an AR-15 now. The rounds for that is a 5.56 round. All the other calibers of guns that are offered to us are the 22, the 45, the 9mm, the 40. So even the numbers within that are totally encoded with all the main numbers that they always use. And now I'll finally get to the car industry. I'm not going to go into the whole history of it because people aren't going to even know the names of these brands. But I'll just bring it into modern day. I'm into like street racing. You see where I'm from. So people out here got, Ferraris, Lambos, McLarens that they're street racing. It's not just like muscle cars anymore. Here people got money to race supercars. And the whole time, these cars are really fast. But that whole entire time, there's still a car that always beats them. The main two categories for these street racing cars are always like 0 to 60 times, quarter mile times, and what they do around the Nürburgring. And the one that always wins out is the 911 Porsche. And if you look at Porsche's lineup right now, they got the Boxster, Cayman, Cayenne, Macan, Panamera, Taycan, and the 911. So they all got names except for the 911. And it's always been the 911. I think it came out in 1966 too. I'm gonna have to go look back and look at that as well. So that car is always kind of looms as it doesn't look as exotic as these other ones, but it's always just a little bit faster, 0 to 60 and around the Nürburgring. And if you look at the logos of all these car companies, they're all totally encoded in astrology. I just had you put up those two right there, the Alfa Romeo and the Maserati, just so people can see how obvious it is. But then you got the other one that I think it's Subaru that has the 3 stars that are arranged exactly like the Egyptian pyramids, which are a mirror of Orion. So anyhow, now let's bring it into modern day. So they want to push us all into electrification. So these cars will all be hooked up on the grid, and they're going to eventually, you're not going to be able to go certain places because your car just won't work there, like in the movie In Time. So as they're pushing us into electrification, the car enthusiasts like me, everybody hates electric. We want the vibration and the sound of the real, combustion engine. And they know to get these enthusiasts, they got to make these cars faster. So the first one that was kind of pushing the limits on that was Tesla a few years back. They came out with their super insane mode and ludicrous mode and stuff like that, but it still wasn't there yet. but now it is. Now Tesla came out with their new motor, which is called the Plaid motor, and it has 1020 horsepower, 1020 horsepower. Now these electric motors, they can dial up to anything. So, why would they make it that number? And when you look at Tesla, their first car that came out was the Model S, S for Saturn, and that's also the 19th letter. And then, then the next one they come out with is the Model X, which is, stands for Kronos, which is also Saturn. Then they come out with the Model Y. So you got S, Saturn, X, and Y. We got X and Y chromosomes for our human race. That's what makes us up. Then they come out with their another model, the 3. So they got the X, Y, and the S, and the 3. So, and now they're coming out with the Cybertruck. So again, of course, it's all about, number 3. So their only one that doesn't have a letter is the 3, and all the other letters are encoded. Now they're coming. They just came out with this new car company, which is finally has dealerships around, but I've been following it for about 7-8 years, called Lucid. They only have one car. It's called the Air. The model of the car is called the Air. The top of the line model is called the Dream. So the Lucid Dream. Anyhow, this car, they put all the people from Tesla, all the techs over from Tesla into this company, and now they're touting it as the biggest competitor for Tesla. So what company takes all their top guys, puts them into a new startup company, and as they're advertising that it's going to be their biggest competitor? I don't know who would do that. But anyway, this new car, the Lucid Dream, has, guess how much horsepower? 1,111 horsepower, 1111. Now, usually when you would say you had a car with that much horsepower, you would just say 1100. You wouldn't have to say 1111. It's ridiculous to include that little infinitesimal amount like that unless you're going for some occult number or you want it to be some certain number. So these things are, they're mocking us in every industry, and I just wanted to bring it out there because it's not so obvious to a lot of people in this community, because not too many people are into like street racing Lambos that are awake and trying to help humanity. I just figured since I am, maybe I could throw that in there and show people like, wow, it's really everything. It's not even just the fake news and the fake sports and all this stuff. It's literally everything. Even the model of phone you use, has been encoded. You just haven't looked at the model number yet,
Sure. Yeah, very interesting observations. Were you going to say more about the logos for those companies, or did you just want people to see them?
Well, I was kind of just showing, like, for the last month or two, you've been talking about tridents, and you've been talking about Knights Templar and all that. So I was just bringing up 2 car logos, which, they're so obviously encoded. This isn't a car company from yesterday. These car companies have been around for decades. So, they're encoding all this stuff into everything, and we're not noticing it. Every single car logo, even Toyota, even everything, every single one of them is based in some type of astrology or something to that effect. And I could go into a lot of what Rambo was talking about, or whether they're gods or whether they're planets. And, these god names were placed on these planets based on what happened to them. So when you had the war, you had a war on a planet that is now the Van Allen asteroid belt and that moon that attacked it. So those things both blew up and became the asteroid belt. When that blew up, it ripped the atmosphere off of Mars and made it unlivable on the surface anymore. And for a while they had like what we now call martial law. That's why it's named after Mars. Martial law, because there was like a refugee program from that planet that blew up. Some of them were brought to Earth. They had elongated skulls. You look at some of these petroglyphs of Akhenaten and his sisters, they had elongated skulls. There's all these elongated skulls in South America. So, it said maybe these people came as a refugee program from Mars after their atmosphere was ripped off due to that explosion. And that's why Mars ended up being called, quote unquote, the god of war, because there was like 5 different species fighting over territory now, because now they didn't have a planet to live on. So there's a lot of stuff there that's behind all that I would have to talk probably for 10 minutes on, to give like a little background. I have a couple questions for you though, that I'm not a Gematria professional, so I'm just going to throw this out and you can decode it. In Man on Fire,
hold on, the music came on. We'll be right back.
and I'm 10 years old. I'm one of the millions of children born to parents suffering from the sheeple virus. Symptoms include the inability to think for oneself, the attention span of a goldfish, and a strong belief in government and the mainstream media. It is estimated that 1 out of every 2 children are being raised by parents infected with the sheeple virus. But there is a cure. For as little as 19 cents per day, you can become a TFR supporter and help children like me get their daily dose of truth. Together, we will make sure every child has protection from deception.
I'm making this presentation directly to the American people with the media present, which is an honor to have you this morning, because many of our nation's reporters and folks will not tell you the truth. It's a ruse. It's all fake news. It's all a ruse. Not true. It's all fake news. Russia is a ruse. Fake. It's all fake news. The news is fake because so much of the news is fake. One of the reasons I'm here today is to tell you the whole Russian thing, that's a ruse. Russia is fake news. Russia, this is fake news. I own nothing in Russia. I have no loans in Russia. Talk all you want about Russia. I don't have any deals in Russia. Tomorrow the headlines are going to be Donald Trump rants and raves. Press is out of control. Dishonesty is out of control. We're not going to let it happen because I'm here again to take my message straight to the people. Russia is a ruse. It's all fake news. It's all a ruse. Not true. It's all fake news. Russia is a ruse. Fake. It's all fake news. The news is fake because so much of the news is fake. Hillary Clinton gave Russia 20% of the uranium in our country. You know what uranium is, right? It's a thing called nuclear weapons and other things, like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things. Hillary gave away 20% of the uranium in the United States. She's close to Russia. I didn't do anything for Russia. Tomorrow you'll say, Donald Trump wants to get along with Russia. This is terrible. This is terrible. Russia is a ruse. It's all fake news. It's all a ruse. Not true. It's all fake news. Russia is a ruse. Fake. It's all fake news. The news is fake because so much of the news is fake. What the fuck,
Wherever you are, make it Truth Frequency Radio.
Condition orange. Condition orange. Situation delta in effect. Please enter your agent number now, followed by the hash key.
We have to create culture. Don't watch TV. Don't read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR.
The time comes when silence is betrayal.
More for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them.
Think for yourself. Question authority. This code has been compromised.
All right, we're back, True Seeker. We got interrupted by the commercial break, and gentleman who's a great caller had a question, and he's back on what? What was your question?
Yeah, I'm just gonna rattle these off real quick. In the movie Man on Fire, Denzel's wearing a Rutgers jacket with the number 24 on there, and it's supposedly based on a true story on this ex-military guy who went down there to be a, like a security guard for a rich family's daughter. And it says that guy Greasy was born on, at the end of the movie, the clip says January 4th, 1956 to December something 2003. So I was just wondering what the significance of all that was. Why was he wearing the number 24 Rutgers jersey and all that? My other question is, this chick Inga Arvad, who Miss Denmark, JFK was one of the chicks that JFK was banging, but not too many years before that, she was Hitler's date to the Olympics. So I haven't heard you talk or anyone actually talk about that whole dynamic. I would like to have somebody fill me in on that. And the last question is, are your shirts? I would like to get one of your shirts, even if you don't come through LA, and even if it doesn't have nothing to do with LA. Are they 100% cotton? Because some of nylon and anything else polyurethane based is one of the causes that of tinnitus and keeping you having tinnitus. So I was just wondering on that. And are you going to make a black one with white lettering, because people can see that from way further away?
Okay, lots of good questions. I need to do research on the first ones because I haven't thought about that. I do remember the movie Man on Fire. I didn't know it was based on a real story. As for the t-shirts, I'll have to double check because I use a website, but I know that they have all sorts of different options, and I'll look. If they're not cotton, I can definitely create a 100% cotton option. I know they'll have that on there, and I can make a black one, so... Sorry I can't answer your questions to the best, but I will look into those things. I don't think I've ever covered either topic, so interesting.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll be waiting for that if you do, because I've not heard anyone else cover them either.
What was the name of the woman again?
Inga Arvad. INGA-ARVAD. I think she was like the original prototype, or like, I don't know who came first, her or Marilyn Monroe, but those were like the, forgot, what did they call them? They were like, monarch mind-controlled CIA, like sex doll kittens or whatever, who they put with certain leaders, and they are actually the handler. But they play like a dumb blonde, but they're actually the handler of that guy, and that's why they had Marilyn Monroe with JFK and his brother, because, I don't really know. He's from a cabal family. The Kennedys are Cavendish. They made their, riches during Prohibition, when they were killing everybody else and jailing everybody else for making alcohol, but they were letting the Cavendish bootlegging family make millions. So he's from a cabal family who was chosen for a purpose. Did he wake up in the middle of his presidency and decide he was going to expose the CIA? I don't know. I don't see any blood coming out of that head on the Zapruder film, as, I don't know. I don't know. So I was just wondering, this would be another part of the puzzle, this chick, Inga Arvad, because there's pictures of her at the Olympics with Hitler. What was that, the 38 Olympics or whatever? That was the last one, like Germany was allowed to go to or something, or whatever that was.
I'll look right away, just looking at her. I see right away she was born on the day, leaving 86 days left in the year, and died 67 days after her birthday. And of course, blood sacrifice and human sacrifice are both 67 and 86. And then it says her affair with Kennedy started in 41. In the most pure cipher, Inga Arvad is 41. Mercury's got that 41. He ends up dying in a vehicle. And Rambo teaches about Mercury and 41 in transportation. So that might have been some predictive programming. I'll have to look into the Hitler piece. It says she was at the 1936 Summer Olympics with Hitler. JFK is killed in 63, 27 years later. So...
Yep, see, that's what I needed you for, because I can't do all that. One thing that I wanted to throw in there about the Mercury, about transportation. So we've had technology on this planet that, tens of thousands of years ago, that's space age compared to what we have now. And the way they got around before, and the reason why UFOs are disc-shaped, is because they're spinning liquid mercury in there in a disc shape, opposing spinning on top and bottom, and what it does is it creates a magnetic field in the middle of it where it's like a whole new environment. You don't feel any G-forces, so you can accelerate from 0 to light speed and it won't kill you. So that's, they used Mercury to get around before. If you look into the Zoroastrian stuff and the Vedic stuff, like in the Vedic text, the Vimanika Shastra, that is literally like a flight manual on how to make Vimanas, which are flying anti-gravity things, and how to fly them around, how to make them and how to fly them around. So within the Vedic text that's in there, and they talk about Mercury, and they found a lot of Mercury in Egypt and all this stuff, and they just obscure it, like they're telling us it's super poisonous. They took out all the thermometers out of the elementary schools and whatever, but, everything's about Mercury, as you can see astrologically, so there's clearly something they're not telling us. And there's also red Mercury, which they've completely hidden from us, which basically heals everything of the human form, whereas the other heavy metal silver form of it is toxic. So anyhow, I don't know, we've been on the line a pretty long, probably people getting pissed off at me already for taking so much time.
I don't think so. They appreciate your call, but great information as always, and we will let some more people get in because there are a lot on hold, but thank you. Always interesting. Have a good night.
I also would like to get into that Sunday show if I can. My email is BK Stonewood. I'll be trying to get in on that if I have time.
Yeah, when I do the show, for anyone who wants to get on the Sunday night show, just send me an email during the show, not before the show, but during the show, gematriaeffectnews@gmail.com. We'll let people come on the show, and you can stay on there as long as you don't come on and become a troll or something. And I'm not talking to you, I'm just talking to anybody else out there that's listening. But yeah, you're more than welcome to come on the show. So this Sunday night.
Okay, we'll do. I'll be DK Stonewood.
Okay. All right, man. Have a good night.
Thanks for taking the call. Have a great show.
Yeah, take care. All right, let's go out to 562. 562, you're on. $562? Maybe just listening. Thanks for tuning in. Let's go out to 725. 725, you're on.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, you're on.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing?
Hey, so what is the... I'm good. How about you?
Doing well, thank you.
All right, so what does the average person think of Gematria?
Well, I mean, the average person, most people think everything's a coincidence. I guess the average person. They would think it's a coincidence, the average person would.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the average IQ?
Well, I don't know. Probably just above room temperature.
Yeah, if you don't include the smart people, it's probably about 60 or 70. Take off 50 if they believe in politics. So, what somebody was saying about the 88 crash or something like that, and it reminded me about Demarius Thomas in Slim 400.
Okay.
You remember that?
Yeah, Demarius Thomas died recently.
Yeah,
right?
Slim 400 was shot, and he's 187 in Gematria. He was shot 9 times, and his Gematria is 88 in single reduction and 83, and Demarius Thomas was 83 and 88.
Okay.
So and they were both 33.
Okay.
It just reminded me of that.
Interesting. Yeah, there's always more to figure out.
He was born
Go ahead.
in Frankfurt, Germany.
Frankfurt, Germany. Okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna say he was born in Yeah, just random as hell. Gangbanger born in Frankfurt, Germany. Okay.
Yeah. Germany's 83 land.
What were you gonna say though?
Nothing. Yeah, it's interesting. I have to go back. The more we learn, you can always go back and look at stuff you covered in the past and say, oh, look at that layer I was missing before. I see how this fits in now. And that's how it almost anytime I go back and look at an older post, now that I know more than when I did the work, I always see things that I completely overlooked before. They just weren't in my consciousness yet, so.
Right, yeah, Slim 400, I think he's 88 in single reduction, so it's kind of hidden. You have to go look for it. And Demarius Thomas is 83, but his single reduction is 88. So it's kind of flip-flop, like 88 and 83, and then Demarius Thomas is 83 and 88 in single reduction.
And
they're both 33.
Okay.
And someone said something about Tupac, or I think you did, something about Tupac, how he had the music video after he died or whatever.
I ain't mad at you. His last music video shows him in heaven.
Right. Yeah, so XXX, you know the rapper?
Tentacion?
XXX. Yeah. He literally whistle blew like he was going to die 2 hours before he did. Did you ever see that video?
I do vaguely remember that.
Royce?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a music video that came out of him in the casket that came out after he died, right?
Right.
I just thought that was a good connection. And the caller that was just on talking about the 747, AK-47, AR-15, how they all use 47. 15 is the prime for 47. 47, the 15th prime.
Okay.
And then for like the average person who like doesn't believe this shit, like you should really get on. I know you just said it the other day about Kobe, his 666 game. That should just be like the deal breaker, like because most people are like they're too invested in the sports. That should just be like the obvious, like completely. That should just kill it right there.
Indeed. I mean, there's a lot of things that people should just realize is way beyond coincidence, but absolutely. Hey, friend, I really appreciate the call. There are a ton of people on hold though, so I got to start making everybody try to stick to a minute because there's like 50 people on hold. But I do appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
And you have a good night, friend.
Can you Google one more thing real quick?
Okay, one more thing. What is it?
Can you Google this? Put it on the screen.
What is
Type
it?
in US 6506.
US 6506 1408.
148B2.
148B2.
So US 6506 148B2.
Okay, for certain monitors, pulsed electronic magnetic fields capable of exciting. So through the screen, something that can mess with your senses. Somebody showed us this years ago.
Yeah.
You're not the first person to phone in about this so far, but yeah, this is really interesting. So.
Okay, yeah. And have you ever seen the Lucis Trust? You know what that is?
I don't think so. What is that?
The Lucis Trust, LUCIS Trust, is the United Nations.
Lucis Trust?
If you Google. Yeah, it used to be called the Lucifer Publishing Company.
Okay.
So just like average person who doesn't really understand or like believe, like it's fucking right there. It's just right there for you.
Okay, I'll look more into this. The Lucis Trust. Okay. I see.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna let everybody keep going. So have a good one.
All right, appreciate it, man. You have a good night.
You too, bro. See ya.
All right, take care. All right, very interesting. Hey, look who's up next. It's Young Ben. What's up, Young Ben? Young Ben getting older on me by the day. What's going on?
Not much. How are you, man?
Oh, you know, another day in paradise.
Yeah. So to keep it short, there were a few things I want to talk about, but I'll stick to one. There was a former NFL referee that died on March 8th, so yesterday. And I noticed that his name was Johnny Greer, and he had 23 seasons as a referee when football equals 83, the 23rd prime. And he was born in 47, like the first Super Bowl was in the 47th season. And he died 38 days before his birthday on 3/8 at age 74.
Wait a minute. He died. Didn't he die today? Didn't he die today, March 9th, 38 days before his birthday? Because his birthday is the 106th day of the year, right?
Wait a minute. Wait, hold on. I did the calculation wrong.
Yeah, I think he died today, March 9th, but it is 38 days before his birthday. I actually talked about this at the beginning of the show, and then he's born on the 106th day of the year in Blacks, 106, first black coach, born in Charlotte, 102. It's the 102nd NFL season. It's all right. People probably missed it, but yeah, I mean, just another clear race ritual and just the familiar numbers. Born in 47, dead at 74. I see this one article here. Yahoo Sports was sure to get a picture with a Raider behind him, and of course, Raiders is 74, like he's dead at 74. So.
Oh, I didn't realize you talked about him already. Okay. Well, there's another. Well, okay. Well, just one more quick thing then. Apparently, there's a fossil, like a 328 million year old fossil that paleontologists discovered. They named after Joe Biden. And they named it, you know what they named it? Well, that's mockery in itself because that guy is a fossil. But the name of the fossil that they named it is Calypsimopodi bideni.
You can find if you look up, you just search Joe Biden fossil, the Guardian article will come up. It's Philipsi Mopodi Bideni equals 110, like president.
Perfect.
And the fossil stored at the Royal Museum, which equals 46, like how he's number 46. And it's a vampire squid fossil, which equals 154. And this article came out on the 9th of March, 9/3, when 154 and 93 are a common pairing. And it also equals 64, like Joe Biden.
Did you see that it shows a creature about 4.7 inches long?
Oh, really? Like how he was the 47th vice president?
Oh, well, and there's no
Garrett
president's
is
47, White House 47, so... What was the one thing that equaled 110, Ben? What was the 110 one?
The name of the actual name of the fossil, which is the SYLIPSIM.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
OPOD.
I see it, yeah, okay. So, yeah. I see. So again, with the base ciphers, they encoded the word president in here. Again, 4.7 inches, and then its official name. Is it in the reverse cipher? Where's it 110 at?
No, the name is here. It's in the CNN article you pulled up. It's at the bottom, at the last line of the first paragraph. Philipsi Mopodi Bideni.
Okay, I'm missing the Bideni part. I'm missing the Bideni part.
The CNN article. Go to the last line of the first paragraph.
Last
line of the first paragraph.
Oh, okay, I see.
First paragraph.
Yeah, what's wrong with me? Okay. Yeah, there it is, 110 in the most pure. That's amazing how they do it. 4.7 inches.
Oh, man. Oh God, this is funny. I was just scrolling.
Yeah, that's why I just
was looking for something.
Yeah, what don't people get about it? I see Yale's a part of this story. What do you know? But it's just like, again, for years when I just started looking at news, I just noticed they stuck the number 47 everywhere. I mean, they've been doing this our whole lifetime, and I mean, just look at it. The fossil's nearly 4.7 inches. It's just like, come on, man. I mean, every day with this number.
Oh my God, this was one of the. I was looking for something because like 95% of the news is about Ukraine now, and I scrolled down the Guardian and I saw this. I'm like, oh, here's something different. But yeah, so this is like, but yeah, and then don't forget Royal Museum where it's housed equals 46. Like I was the 46th president. And it is Royal Museum of Canada, but Royal Museum's enough. And then the actual thing is the vampire squid. The vampire squid equals 64, and like Joe Biden, and you'll appreciate all the.
And again, a fossil, something that's dead. They put this out on 3/8, it looks like. And again, if Biden does die in office, well, now they're creating all these new scenarios for reasons Biden could die in office. Man, we're on the verge of World War III. He could be assassinated. The brilliant mind of Joe Biden, if that went down. But again, if Biden kicks the bucket in office, it'll be perfect because he is number 46, but he's the 45th person to be president, and a number that has a very powerful relationship with 45 is 9. Because 45 is the 9th triangular number, which means if you add 1 through 9 together, it equals 45. If Biden dies, he'll be the 9th president to die in office. And again, we know Trump with his commercial years before he was called president-elect on the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. Berlin Wall 45, he was talking to sheep on pillars. Sheep 11 and 9, and at the end he says, looking good, number 9, looking good. And he was wearing the same suit and tie he wore for selection night almost a decade later. And, again, these people are talking in numbers. So, yeah, great find, Ben. Very interesting. I'm gonna look more at this, see if there's any more I can extract out. Yeah,
the part about the vampire squid is definitely, I mean, like,
what are they trying to tell us there? Like vampire, squid. I mean, there's all sorts of theories about, who these elite really are, like the reptilian theory. I wonder if that's like a nod at that, whether that is actually true or false. I mean, it's just the fact that it's a theory that's out there that people like David Icke push, and now they say this is the vampire squid. It's like, a little familiar sounding, but yeah, I mean, and I think what's funny? They actually originally discovered it in Montana, and Montana equals 39. It looks like this article came out on March 8th originally. It's just the Guardian covered it a day later. But yeah, I'm wondering if there's more to that, to number 328 too. We do have March 28th coming up in a few weeks.
I would look in the Jewish cipher. I'd go to Derek's calculator and knock out everything and just plug in the Jewish cipher and type in 328 and see if anything. March 28th is definitely something to think about. The date upcoming. I mean, that probably wouldn't be too far off from what it is, but you can also peek. I see Los Angeles is 328 in Jewish. We just had something big with that. Redskins 328 just got renamed the Washington Commanders the same day that Biden sends the troops to Ukraine. And you know what I noticed about Washington Commanders? It equals 91 in the most peer, just like how the Soviet Union dissolved in 91 and then the whole military escalation in the days before Gorbachev's 91st birthday. But there's probably something here. Here's what's funny to me. The whole time I've been looking at this vampire squid, I've been thinking, man, a lot of ladies probably look at this and it looks to them like the thing they keep in their side drawer. But Osiris, who lost his dick, equals 328 in Jewish Gematria. And again, I mean, to me, that thing looks like a vibrator. But, I'm sure there's something else here with the 328. I'm just looking at the top of the list, so great find. I'll do some more thinking on it. Did you guys have any other thoughts? I know Natalie's there, too. Hello, Natalie. Got our young Gematria couple, but... was there anything else you want to plug in?
No, that's it. Also, don't forget the part about the Royal Museum. I don't know if it's in the CNN article, but it was in the Guardian article. Royal Museum equals 46. Like I was the 46th president.
Yeah, that is a great catch in the details. So.
Yep. And other than that. Yeah, that was definitely the highlight story of this week because I mean, all you hear about is just the same. We're hearing about the same, basically, Ukraine over and over and over again. This was a nice little diversion, I guess, for a little bit.
Indeed. Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate it.
All right.
All right, have
a good night, Zach.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
Take care, bye.
All right, let's go out to Kansas City. Hey, Zach, can
you hear me all right?
I can hear you. What's going on?
I'm in a vehicle. I didn't know if you could hear me. So, we were talking the other day about the 244 and the string of pi. Do you want to talk a little bit about that on this show?
Again, it has that relationship with 201 and the string of pi, correct?
So we talked about, to start out, 19 equals 244 in Jewish. Then when you go into pi, the 201 is at the 244th position, so event 201. And then the next 244 is 2,440, and that's where you pick up your 666.
Right.
So it ties it all in. It ties it all in together. And then the
hold on.
Daniel 244 thing.
Quick commercial break. We'll be right back, everybody. Sit tight, caller.
Okay.
You got to learn to hang in there. You got to learn to stay from spring till fall. Many people plant in the spring and leave in the summer. They're gone. First hot day. I thought sure John had lasted a month. Where is he? I don't know. Somebody said boo, and he quit. Where is he? I don't know. But see, to win, you got to learn to stay. Just because you're behind in the first quarter, you can't leave. You got to learn to stay and hang in there. Guy builds a foundation. And then he walks off, wanders away, and builds another foundation. He never stays. He puts up the walls and puts on the roof. You got to learn to stay, hang in there.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. September 2018. Extendivite works in keeping my blood pressure in the normal range. I've been using Extendivite for many years now. May 2018. Great product. I use regularly and I rarely get sick. March 2018. This product has relieved what appeared to be angina pain in my chest and shortness of breath after climbing stairs. I'm quite happy about it. February 2018. My husband, son, and I have been using this product for a few months now, and we have noticed an improvement in our joints and blood pressure. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
We exist in the security and comfort of our worlds. Paved paths, lights, and manicured lawns give us peace of mind that our world has been tamed, and we are its master. But other worlds exist on the edge of our sight. On the edge of our awareness, the shadows move. The woods is filled with the unblinking eyes of the nightmares our ancestors warned us about. Some of us have stumbled into these forgotten realms, whether on purpose or completely by surprise. I'm Brent Thomas. Join us on the Paranormal Portal Friday and Saturday nights from 10 p.m. to midnight Pacific Standard Time as we journey into the world of the paranormal phenomena.
Enter the Paranormal Portal if you dare.
You're listening to the Truth Frequency Radio Network.
No hate, no hype, no fear.
All right, we're back, Truth Seeker. We got interrupted by the commercial break, and go back out to the caller. 816, you still there?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back on.
I'm here. Okay. Yep. Okay. So just to go back over, so 19 equals 244 Jewish. At the 244th, you have the 201 as an event 201. At the next 244, which is 2,440, you have the 666. So to tie that whole agenda in together with that 244, and then we talked about the Daniel 244, where it talks about, Daniel 243, it talks about in the days when they mix man and machine is basically what it's saying. And then in 244, it says, in those days the God of heaven will establish his kingdom on earth and destroy all other kingdoms. And then if you write out 244, that equals 2022 in Jewish.
Right. Yeah. It is really interesting.
So between the two, yeah, I mean, and that's just between two ciphers. You're talking only Sumerian and Jewish ciphers that all that stuff correlates up. And the other thing
thing, I looked into pi and how far back it goes, and the real interesting thing is that it didn't go past 200 decimal digits, until 1949 and then in the 50s. So they had to use computers. So, I mean, this is all like post-Roswell. Think, the 1947 Roswell incident. And then we've talked so much about, you talked about how Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos both founded their companies right there in New Mexico and then moved them to Seattle where the Space Needle is. So, all of this stuff is tied in, to computers. When you think about it, Zach, like, if you and I were going to plan to do something out, would we really be that meticulous? Would we want to be that meticulous with numbers? But everything in this reality that happens on a large scale is always specifically tied to these different, ciphers and just perfectly, coded out. That is computer-like. And they've been working for hundreds and hundreds of years, actually thousands of years, trying to figure out pi and get it right. And they'd only gotten to like 20 or 30 decimal places before the computer.
Yeah, it is a good point. Are you driving?
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, but yeah, I can hear the road too. Yeah, it does it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder. So, are you saying they must have had computers long ago, or what point exactly are you getting to?
Well, so we know that the agenda was long laid, the plan, because the 666 was there in New York and New Mexico, and the 56 goes back to the 56 signers of the Declaration of Independence, and then the big 56 is singularity. We've talked about all that. And that's all about mixing man and machine. So, it sure seems like computers and AI have been around a lot longer than what people think. Because why else would the numbers match up to this stuff that's anciently old? Like, you go way back and the numbers are coded into these names perfectly. So, and if you look, like the book of Joshua, for example, it talks about AI in there. And I've mentioned this before, but not to you personally, but the seventh position of the Hebrew alphabet was AI. And then the letter G is what took the place of the seventh position. Well, then you have the G in the Freemasons emblem. That G took the place of the AI. So, yeah, why would you have numbers matching up perfectly to everything if it wasn't some type of a computer that's setting it all up?
It's a great question, and it's entirely possible too. And I don't know. I'm always open to the idea that we are some kind of AI is not the right word, but just some kind of creation of some higher intelligence. People say, yeah, absolutely, the creator. It's possible as that, but it also seems like it was like I don't want to say, it seems like we're purposefully corrupted or limited, so in the way that we can be controlled as we are. I have so many questions too, and I don't know what the answer is at the end of the day.
Why keep it all secret? If the agenda was actually a good agenda for most people, why would you have to keep it secret?
Exactly. Or mislead people from the beginning.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing I also want you to think about, and I've talked to you, it's like being a dead horse about it, but the Dionysus thing, this year count that we're in was created by a monk named Dionysius. He was named after Dionysus. And so that in itself is super important because it's foundational to all of this. And it's interesting, the last caller talked about this dinosaur, whatever fossil that they found, and they named it, the last name was by Denny. Well, the nickname for Dionysus is Denny.
Okay.
And then, of course, the 500-year Phoenix cycle, and we're in that 500 Ignatian year. And the story about, and you talked a lot about the Order of the Phoenix, with Manly P. Hall, and so that Phoenix thing goes back to, 7,000 or 8,000 years, and it's supposed to be a 500-year rebirth, a cycle.
Right. Yeah, it all makes a lot of sense.
What things lining up for right now?
What got you on the path of researching Dionysus so much? I know you leave a lot of comments connecting things through Dionysus.
That's a pretty deep story, honestly. It's one of those things that's pretty hard to explain, how I found out about Dionysus. But, the whole Jesus story is a parallel to Dionysus, which was around a lot, long before the Jesus story was around. And it's frustrating to me because, like I was telling you the other day about Hollywood, and that ties into Dionysus because his primary symbol was holly. And of course, the Holy Bible. I mean, the word holy came from holly. It's just, it does go back. That is a primary figure in this entire reality that we're living in. And Zeus, of course, Jupiter, tied into Jupiter, which I don't know if you've heard this, but people that are into astrology have talked about how Jupiter's been off the grid for like 2+ weeks. They can't even find it.
Huh. Interesting.
So I don't know what's up with that, but.
Well, again, I appreciate.
The computer thing's big. You know what I mean?
It is. It's huge, and I really appreciate your contributions. You haven't been around that long, but you've made some great contributions in the time you've been here. And again, it's stuff to think about. But at the end of the day, I don't know if we'll ever be able to answer some of these questions. The clues are there, but So anyhow,
one of the big ones is the slavery thing. And because I talked to you on one of the shows before about the fact that it never speaks against slavery.
It condones slavery, right? And it seems like we're a slave race. Absolutely. Turn the other cheek. It seems like a teaching for a slave. I agree.
Well, that ancient Sumerian story, the oldest text that we have, it talked about how the workers at the time rebelled because they were making them work so hard. And then that's why they created this hybrid species on this planet to work, And but it's just really sad that we've just been kept really in the dark about almost everything and how things work. You know what I'm saying? We don't know how they a lot of stuff is made up. They talk about how many millions of miles away these planets are and all this other stuff. It's like, seriously, how did they figure that?
Right.
And how old certain things are. Just a lot of it. Don't you feel like a lot of it's just BS?
Absolutely. Especially when you realize the way they lay the numbers down on it. It's like, come on. Absolutely. Friend, I got to get some more people in here because we're almost out of show and there's a lot of people on hold. But thank you as always. Great call.
Yep. Have a good night, man. Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah,
yep,
you too.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, let's go out to Canada, 705. 705. Canada. Maybe Justin.
Hi, Zach.
Oh, okay. I was thinking Justin Trudeau shut down your communication. What's going on?
No, sorry, I had it on mute. My apologies, brother, and thanks for the great work that you've done. It's my first time reaching out. Thanks for taking my call. I didn't know if I'd get in, but there's a few things that have been weighing on me and my situation. Just feeling like the state and everything has come down on me since I've faced being excluded because of masks and stuff or service and what have you, and then became upset. But I had a couple of relations with other comments that were with what Rambo had said. So not to just take your time with my stuff. I say Rambo's comment on info being wealth or to the effect of that. I'd say with the relation to our new economy, it's basically they're viewing data as the new form of currency or info, So at that time, it'd be this is basically what they're doing and using as a form of credit and stuff, what we see, what we view, and all of these things. So, I find that to be quite troubling. And even my own circumstance, I've become aware of a program that they use, something called Scope. And it's actually used by all the courts across, even in the UK, I've seen reports of it. But essentially, it's it profiles everybody who goes through there, and they basically already determine what they want to do with you, essentially, beforehand. And what does the name of that very program tell you? It's
Right.
scope, right?
Got
Like,
you under
what
a
does that
scope.
mean? Like targeting people?
Absolutely.
Pardon?
Absolutely. The Pope's got you under a scope.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
For real, man. For real. And I was also going to relate that to what we have here up in this Dominion, so-called, they say, is so they have ministers a lot, and they also have, like, when they have, like, governors and stuff, like generals and stuff, a lot of generals. And I think they take more of, like, the administrative side. Guess what? Last time I had court, they had freaking the governor general or someone of that, which I presume has held that position. This man, I believe, as the title, that's a title that's above the prime minister. Like, he makes sure he's under appointment of the crown, or Her Majesty or His Majesty, and they make sure that he's got a prime minister in place. And that's like, so the people have a confidence in Parliament and all this crap and all this stuff. But they have like powers like far beyond. I'd say that's more like the black side. The administrative is more like the black nobility side. They take orders from the black pope. And the freaking white side is like the white pope. The minister side, the ministry, the health ministry and all that crap. That's how I'm seeing it now. Like, you got the white and the dark side, and that's basically what you see right through the church and whatnot. And you got the black pope, you know.
That makes sense.
Superior generals, right? Generals. And that's what this guy is, the governor general. You got attorney generals, you got freaking postmaster generals, you got all that nonsense. Who are these people? And why are these imposters taking over positions? They're pirates, really. And then beyond that, like, I was going to relate to the computers, what you guys were just speaking about, and how it may be like a medium or the catalyst, like these electronics and whatnot. I'm saying, like, that's almost like undetectable because most of these entities and whatnot, they're like not really perceivable. They're not within our frequency spectrum. Like, we view to like 20,000 hertz or whatever. Like, we can auditorily hear so far and we can see so much. But then there's like other maybe dogs and stuff that can be more sensitive. They might be more like keen on certain spirits or whatever. But anyways, this might be a way for them to like be a way to harness or be like a catalyst to like be like a medium for like the prince of the air, principalities or whatever, like fairies, pixies, gremlins, all those otherworldly like mystical entities with relation to like electricity or air and what we see and what we
I hear everything you're saying. Yeah, very interesting observations. Friend, I'd let you go on longer. I love the call, but again, there's a lot of people on hold. Oh, shoot, his call just disconnected. He got disconnected. I guess he was hitting too many points. Trudeau got him after all. Let's go out to India. What's going on, India? I believe it's D26.
Hey, Zach, how are you?
Doing well. Thank you for being so generous and always with the brilliant observations. I feel like I should be paying you, but what's on your mind?
Yeah, I did find out. I was just looking through the 41 because Rambo was very well with the 41 today. So I just found this that during 2020, not to get that page right, they did announce an emergency. Let me get that page right. Okay, yeah. If you go to the Wikipedia page for COVID-19 pandemic, the WHO, before announcing the pandemic on 11th of March, they declared a public health emergency of international concern, short for PHEIC, on 30th of January 2020. So 30th of January, so the number of days, the duration is from this public health emergency of international concern to the day of announcement of the pandemic is 41 days apart. And it's also 1 month and 11 days, like 111. So regarding that, I also found some other thing regarding 9/11, like a relation with 9/11, because 9/11 happened the day leaving 111 days afterwards. And this thing is, again, the announcement of the pandemic is 1 month and 11 days after this public health emergency of international concern on 30th of January. That is also the day when the first 2 cases of COVID were recorded, tested in the UK. 66 days after that, we had the first 2 cases of Omicron. But another thing is that the first case of US, which was supposedly a man coming to US out of mainland China on 15th of January. So from 15th of January, if I'm not wrong, let me get that right again. Yeah, from 15th of January to the day when Operation Warp Speed was launched, 15th of January to 15th of May, is 121 days apart, and that is 121 is the square of 11. So there's another 11 thing. I was just looking through that 11 day, and that you can also say that it's 4 months apart, but you can also say that Operation Warp Speed was 4 months and first day of the first case of arrival in the US. Another thing with 41 is that Event 201 happened on the 201st day of Terry Nichols' birthday, which is April Fool's Day. So, in other words, you can say that Event 201, 18th of October, is 201st day of April Fool's Day, which can be written as, which is 1st of April, which can be written as 2/1. And I was reading some. I haven't still not. It's embarrassing. I've still not completed the book, either of the books, your books. But I did find this. You have mentioned about this thing. You have mentioned about 14th of October. Let me know if it's 14th of October. 14th of. I'm just talking from my memory. I don't have all the dates right now. I guess it's 14th of October, which is when George Floyd's birthday is on 14th of October. But that is also the same day Arthur Sosa became the Superior General on 14th of October 2016. I guess you have missed that relation in your books. So keep that in mind. Which is also the day leaving 70 days left in the year. And the other day I left a comment in your comment. We had a little, I guess we had a confusion that Pope Benedict's papacy began on the 1 decade anniversary of Oklahoma city bombing, OKC 19. And since there's also Ukraine-Russia thing, I looked back into history. Did you ever heard about the Warsaw Pact, or in other words, it's called the Warsaw Treaty Organization, WTO?
I hadn't heard of that before.
So WTO, even I am it's just that I knew about WTO, but I thought it was World Trade Organization, because that is what it is. But apparently it has several meanings. One of them is Warsaw Treaty Organization, which is again just like NATO. Basically, Warsaw Treaty, in other words, it's also called Warsaw Pact. It was created to counter the NATO, and after the dissolution of the Soviet Union, this became null and void, and it is obviously null and void. And because of that, but so it does not make sense. NATO has no use of that. So still, that is what all this chaos is there. And Ukraine which was first a part of Soviet Union, now wanted to get into NATO. Obviously, Russians won't allow that. So it's just that if we remove the Jesuits, even that makes sense why Russia is acting to that, because it was their territory long back. They belong to the same ethnicity also. So anyway, not getting to that. The day when the pact was declared ended, as in the Warsaw Pact, which was a kind of an Eastern NATO kind of thing, that was on 25th of February 1991, the 25th day of the year. And the abbreviation, WTO, which stands for Warsaw Treaty Organization, let me check that. It equals 201 in the prime cipher, which is, again, I said that because you talk about, because also even everyone does that this prime number relationship is pivotal in Gematria. So I just looked into that cipher, and the more I found that, if I check in my notes, I guess Israel and also Italian equals 201. And since I'm a nerd with comic books, I won't take much time if I have to be honest, whenever I come on TFR, I feel like my teacher is taking a test. how fast can I speak, how clearly can I speak. But anyway, not taking much time. You remember the movie which I told you that Doctor Strange movie, which is coming on 6th of May this year? That is 201st day of 2-year anniversary of October Event 201. Last year, Event 201, when Colin Powell died at age 84, on 2-year anniversary of Event 201. From that day, it is 201st day when Doctor Strange movie will be launched on 5/6, which is 6th of May. And if I go about Doctor Strange, if I I can rap about this thing because I'm a huge outside. I decided the entire thing with Marvel. So Doctor Strange, which is releasing on 5/6. So two main key characters will be Wanda and Strange. Wanda, which stands for, which is if you don't know, there's a girl called Wanda, and there's Stephen Strange, Doctor Stephen Strange, and Wanda and Strange, that equals 56. It is coming 201st year of the 2-year anniversary of Event 201. Benedict Cumberbatch, who is playing Doctor Stephen Strange. By the way, if you didn't know, that is not a fancy name. The actual name of the character is Doctor Stephen Strange, who is a neurosurgeon, and then he becomes into mystic arts, and then he becomes a sorcerer supreme. But the actor who's playing that, Benedict Cumberbatch, to be honest, he's a good actor, but he's born on the 201st day of a leap year in 76. So he's born on 19th of July in the year 76. That is the 201st day of the leap year. And the first movie, which was launched in 2016 in November, that was launched 3 months and 2 weeks and 2 days after his birthday. So it's again 322. And it premiered on October 13, the day leaving 79 days left in the year. And the most talked about movie. So to be honest, in my opinion, the most anticipated movie for 2022 will be, for this year, entire year, will be this movie, Doctor Strange, The Madness of the Multiverse. And everyone got mad crazy about this. You can ask this anyone that when the trailer launched, they showed a glimpse of a character which is no one saw this coming, which is about the character of Professor X, played by Patrick Stewart, which was in the X-Men series. So it's like they are introducing the concept of multiverse. But I'm not going to take much more time, but very quickly, Professor X equals 56. Prof, which is the abbreviation for professor, Prof X equals 56, which is also his full name in the movie or in the comics. That is Professor Charles Xavier. Charles Xavier, the companion, the second in line after Ignatius of Loyola, who was sent as a missionary to the Far East, and his works are famous in China, India, and Japan. India has a lot of Xavier schools. By the way, talking about Xavier, India's richest man, who's probably, if I'm not wrong, he's probably the richest man in Asia as well, Mukesh Ambani, who also has the biggest mansion in the entire world in Mumbai. He's a Jesuit educated in St. Xavier's College in Mumbai. And in the comics, the son of Professor X, his name, David Haller, that equals 201. And to be honest, I have probably 20 to half an hour more minutes I can talk about, but I don't want to take much time.
The music's going to start very soon. The music's going to start very soon and the show will end. So like 20 more seconds, then we're out of time.
All right, 20 more seconds. Okay. I did talk about Thor and Odin, Thor and Loki. They both. By the way, we just forgot on that live stream when I had dropped that super chat. In both the ciphers, both reverse and forward and backwards of Satanic, check out Loki, Time, and Thor, because these three are my recent picks, I'd say, from my notes.
Right. Yeah, that's a great observation. All right, friend. Well, I really appreciate the work you're doing. It's excellent. Keep it up. And we're about out of show. Have a good night, or it's probably a good day over there. But again, appreciate you calling in. You take care, friend.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for calling. Thanks for taking my call.
Of course, you're welcome. You have a great rest of your day. And for the person who posted this on Free to Find Truth, the Kobe and Jordan 23-8. Again, Michael Jordan 238. Kobe's birthday 23-8. Hiding the truth right in front of our face. We'll be right back. Sit tight, Truth Seeker. Actually, we won't be right back because that's the end of the show. And Yeah, I screwed up. I'm not sure if that broadcast is going to make TFR. If it doesn't, it's my fault. I thought I started the show. I have to click a button to connect to TFR, and apparently I didn't. I did once we got 30 minutes into the show, but I think because I missed the opening window when I was supposed to click the button, it might have messed up the broadcast over there. But yeah, again, just the 23-8 thing, the Kobe and Jordan parallels. With the most simple cipher, both of their names equal 113. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse, instead of Michael Jordan equaling 113, it equals 238. Him and Kobe, 23-8. Remember, this year the Bulls got to 23-8 at home on the eve of Jordan's birthday, and then this year North Carolina upset Duke in the last game of the season to get to 23-8, where Jordan played at. And also, don't forget that Kobe came into the NBA through North Carolina as well, drafted by the Charlotte Hornets before he was traded for the big flopper, Vlade Divac. And yeah, it's amazing. You know, you learn this Gematria thing and just things you see. Things that were always right there before. I gotta show you something else that's weird. I gotta show you something that's weird. Just with all this Mercury stuff, I was just trying to get organic during the commercial break, and how come this is not working now? Come on now. Okay. Hold on. Let's try this again. Okay. I got to show you this. If you guys didn't know this, I just happened to be born on the coldest recorded day in recorded history. And that was July 21st, 1983. And I wasn't even meaning to look this up. I was meaning to look up like what the position of Mercury was, but this is why this is what article came up first. It says, you know all those people who boast about bearing the brunt of winters without so much as a sweater? Here's a tale to send shivers down their spine. On July 21st, 1983, Vostok Station, a Russian research station in Antarctica, recorded the world's lowest temperature at negative 128.6 Fahrenheit or negative 89.2 Celsius. That would round up to negative 129 degrees, right? And it talks about how the mercury hit rock bottom, you know, mercury in the thermometer. And think about it, at 129 is 201 in base 8 counting, right? And Mercury's atomic weight is 201, and the coldest temperature is supposedly about negative 129 degrees Fahrenheit, as the Mercury read it. You know what I mean? It's just like, what in the world? When Mercury hit absolute rock bottom at Vostok Station. Anyway, guess the Mercury thing was always there for me to figure out. It just took forever. But let me go over the super chats one more time. I do appreciate people's generosity. Isabella, very generous tonight, a $50 donation. I saw her comment earlier. She's like, man, we just bought a brand new truck right before gas went crazy. Timing. It's too bad. But D26, he wrote, found some 41s in my old notes like AstraZeneca, and he just called in and shared some of that information. D26, brilliant mind. Again, Isabella, very generous. Hess85 gave us a, what is that, a green bird emoji? Half the time I don't know what these emojis mean. I don't know what that is. Maybe my eyes are getting bad, but I do appreciate the support. And whatever. Is the emoji lifted weights? Maybe that's what it is. Lifted weights? Okay, I think that's what I see. Jacob Bull, thank you for the donation. He says 2023 is a lot like 322. It is, and at the end of that year, it'll be the 44-year anniversary of the Georgia Guidestones being erected, and then, of course, March 22nd, 3/22/2024 will be the 44-year anniversary of the etchings being unveiled. And let's not forget, this March 22nd will be the 42-year anniversary. Another interesting number. War is 42. World War is 42. Those Guidestones are about reducing population, and war definitely does that. And then Gary, with a $5 contribution. Thank you very much, friend. You wrote, excited for tonight's show. Be sure to like and share. I appreciate that. Getting the community on board with doing the things that it takes to get up the algorithm. So, anyhow, I see D26 in the chat. Can I call in another other than TFR? I feel I'm forced in a 100-meter race. I did tell Sweet Lady I wouldn't go much past 9 tonight because we're still on the schedule of getting up at 4 in the morning, and she doesn't like if she falls asleep and I go in the bedroom, you know, she'll wake up and then she'll be annoyed with me. But she wants to get to bed right around now, so it's not that I don't want to hear your call, but the next time I'm live, or the next time I'm live, you're welcome to call in, or if you want to do the Sunday show, if that works with you, that also works. And D Plug had a good comment a second ago about how Mercury is represented by Gemini and Virgo. 9/11 happened in the time of Virgo. Gemini's the twins. They called it the Twin Towers. So really, the Virgo-Gemini symbolism was there in a huge way. And remember George Floyd killing? That was in the time of Gemini, right at the start of Gemini. 201 coded all over the George Floyd ritual, synced up with 9/11. But, yeah, sorry to TFR. I think this broadcast is not going to go in the TFR archives, and that's my fault. But at least we got it here on YouTube for now. Again, be sure to back up the videos, the streams you like, because you never know when the channel's going to get deleted. Sometimes you just lose everything at once. D26 says Sagittarius Gemini equals 201. You're a Sagittarius, so is my sister. Why isn't she more like you? Yeah, we better leave it there though for now, True Seeker. Again, Oklahoma City, April 19th. Even if gas goes up to $8 a gallon, I'll still be out there. It'll get pricey, but yeah, people are speculating that I'm not going to make it. I will be there. I will be there April 19th. And I really look forward to it too. I really do hope that the education sinks in. I hope we got big enough numbers to make it happen. And again, if you guys want to get festive, I will design some t-shirts in some more colors. There's a request to do that. And again, I don't want to be known as a t-shirt salesman. But if you go to my website, gematriaeffect.news merch, I did put together Jesuits Did It t-shirts with Ignatius Loyola's face on there. Again, April 19th is the day he became the first Superior General. The back of the shirt has 3 key dates. And again, I just figure, if we're all out there in numbers and we all have a similar t-shirt on, and it's okay if you don't want to wear the t-shirt, you're more than welcome to show up without the t-shirt. It's not gonna be a problem. But I'm just saying, if people all look like they're wearing something similar, if these shirts are all over the town, so far there's been about 10 of them that have sold, so I don't think they're going to be all over the town. But in case they do end up all over the town, it could add to the impactfulness of that day. And for the guy who said, "Are they all cotton?" I do not know the answer to that. I do choose the Supremium quality shirt, so it's not something cheap that just falls apart in the wash after the first time. But I will look into if it's all cotton, and I'll get back to you on that one. So again, we're trying to have an impact, and the t-shirt could make it a little more impactful. Again, if everybody is driving around Oklahoma City being like, what in the world, what is this Jesuits, who are the Jesuits, who is that guy's face, what is this about? Again, these are the questions we need people to ask so that they can receive the answer. And again, we could definitely do it without the t-shirt, but if you do want to support it, it's there. Tiana says, let's organize some security. I imagine I'll be okay. Honestly, what I'm worried about is that they're going to black out Los Angeles and the West Coast or the States on April 19th. But again, you can't operate out of a place of fear. It's just they're simulating all that, and we talked about some things why April 19th could be the day. So anyway, we got to get out there and pound pavement and wake some people up. Otherwise, it's going to get worse, even if they do black out the town on that specific day. So Can Deanna Sherry get a wrench? Where is she in the chat? How come I don't see her comments? When I see her, she can get a wrench. I don't see any comments from that person. But when I do see them comment, they can have a wrench. Oh, there it is. She already said goodnight. I see it. Okay. When she comes back, she'll have a wrench. I found her. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I hear you. Again, that I tried to see what would happen if I went out to Seattle and woke him up to event 201 on June 13th, the day leaving 201 days left in the year, and what happened was there was like a guy there who made a statement to me. He's like, I don't even know what you're out here for. You're not a real soldier. You weren't even in the military. And then he set up his little speaker and his table and his laptop and drowned me out with music all day. And again, the first song he played was Katy Perry's I Kissed a Girl, which equals 201. It's like, who is this guy? Apparently he knows I wasn't in the military. Seemed like he was more than just a hater. He literally stayed there the entire day. I mean, I was there all day. He stayed there the whole 12 hours I was there, drowning me out with music. Anytime I talked, he just started blasting his speaker. But significance at 834, I don't know. But again, if you don't know the significance of a bigger number, just go to the Gematrinator calculator. Go to the Gematrinator calculator. If it's a bigger number, it's usually in English extended or Jewish. But I always look in Jewish first. Just type in 834 and then click match. Denver's got an 834. Hello, Russell Wilson. Bavarian, interesting. Bavarian Illuminati. I don't know what you're looking at in the context of 834, but if there's an answer, it's probably in Jewish Gematria. So. All right, I think that's all for now, Truth Seeker. Yeah, I might need some goons in Oklahoma City. So we'll leave it there for now. We'll be back, I'm sure, tomorrow. And again, you guys, one of these days, not too far off, I'm going to say, you know what? I'm all done with my book. It's not quite yet there. It could be if I wanted it to, but again, we've just learned so... I mean, in the last 4 to 6 weeks, I just feel like I've learned so much more than I knew before, and now it's allowed me to enhance the book to a new level. So, I'm actually glad I didn't meet my deadline of the end of the year. I feel like the book's a lot better for it. And again, that's what happens. The more research you go, the more time goes, you get better and better, but I really feel like there's been some big breakthroughs in the last month or month and a half. So, Oh, the score was 43-8. So you're talking about, that's funny, you're talking about the Super Bowl score of 43-8 or 8-3-4 in reverse. And of course, Denver lost in that Super Bowl, and now Russell Wilson just went there. Okay. When you write out 43, it's also 8-34, like the winning score was 43. So, and as we know, Seattle Seahawks is 43, Colorado's 43, football's 43. I don't know, I never looked into the number 834 before, but there it is. Stone Temple Pilots, Seattle band. 834. Actually, was Stone Temple Pilots Seattle? Hold on. I know they were kind of in that grunge scene, but let me double check that. Were they Seattle? They were San Diego. I take it back. San Diego. Take it back. But part of that grunge Seattle era. All right. Anyway. Oh. Thank you, Sarah. Sarah says she wants a wrench. Sarah bought herself a wrench. That's the new going rate for a wrench, $5. All right. You got it, Sarah. All right, we will leave it there before anybody else tries to buy a wrench for $5. Appreciate everyone. Thanks for everyone who hit the like and the share. And for the person out there, I see your comment, I'd reach more people if I decoded international football. Well, the reason I don't decode international football is because I don't know about it. I mean, if you guys realize, like, pretty much the things I decode and speak to, they're things I know about. And thankfully, I know about quite a lot of things, but I don't know anything about international football, so... Yeah, I got to expand my horizons there. I mean, I could still figure out a thing or two, but it's a lot easier when you know a little bit about the subject besides just decoding the numbers. Somebody says sweet lady equals 129. I guess it was destiny. People are always like, Zach said sweet lady. Again, you guys, sweet lady, it's simple where I got it from. It doesn't have anything to do with the gematria. I got it because Nate wants 2 wrenches. I was like, wait a minute, you already have a wrench. I get it. If I could give you 2 wrenches, I would. If you guys aren't following A. Nate Robinson on Twitter, brilliant work. One of the best sports decoders around. But yeah, the Sweet Lady thing is just the Tyrese song, you know? That's where I got Sweet Lady from. Song on the radio. It's a nice song. So it's not anything about the gematria. It's not, you can't just look at the numbers behind everything, you know? A guy can just like the song Sweet Lady. Fair enough. Anyway, we'll leave it there for now. Have a good night all. And until next time.